of the cheap missiles that were thrown from the side of Pakistan, that got intercepted, and the debris might have fallen in this entire area, and hence this massive search operations has been launched over here. Not only the Punjab police but also members from the security agencies are also present over here.
रात को जिस तरीके से पाकिस्तान ने जो हमला किया था मिसाइल से, ड्रोन से, आपने देखा था?
हाँ, बिल्कुल देखा था। हमला अचानक शुरू हो गया। एक्चुअल में कलेक्टर की तरफ से 9 बजे से लेकर सुबह 5 बजे तक ब्लैकआउट था, पर ये 8:30 पौने 9 बजे हमला शुरू हो गया। पर भारत ने मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया। जैसलमेर में लगभग अभी तक कोई न्यूज़ नहीं है कहीं हानि हुई है। इनके जो भी ड्रोन आए, फ्लाइटें आई है, सब वो क्रैश हो गई। भारत ने उसको निस्तो नाबूद कर दिया है। यहाँ जैसलमेर में कोई ऐसा अभी तक बताया नहीं जा रहा कि कहीं कोई नुकसान हुआ है।
पाकिस्तान ने जैसे टारगेट किया, हम शायद देख रहे थे कि शहर के ऊपर जिस तरीके से मिसाइलें मंडरा रही थी।
जी, पाकिस्तान ने जो टारगेट किया ये अपने एयरबेस एरिया के ऊपर किया था, पर यहाँ माता जी की कृपा है, आज तक कभी भी पाकिस्तान यहाँ सफल नहीं हुआ है। हर बार विफल ही हुआ है। अब के विफल हुआ है और इतिहास दोहराया गया।
आप बताएं क्या तस्वीर रही होगी और अभी क्या, अब आपको लगता है कि अभी तो पूरा मार्केट ओपन हो गया?
रात को हंगामा होया था और लुगाई टाबर वगैरह सब डर गए थे। और तुम क्या कुछ होना है, पाकिस्तान का कुछ नहीं होना है। अपने हिंदुस्तान ने सब उसको कवर कर लिया, कुछ नहीं होना। नुकसान तो कुछ है।
आप आए। अच्छा, तो अब देखिए कि यहाँ पर इस वक्त आप देखिए कि रात भर से इस हनुमान चौक पर है। मैं तस्वीरें बताऊंगा कि ये मेन चौक है यहाँ पर जैसलमेर का, और यहाँ दुकानें आपको खुली हुई नजर आएगी। इसके बावजूद अभी थोड़ी देर पहले यहाँ पर बिजली बहाल की गई है, और लेकिन लोग घरों से निकल आए हैं, अब अपने काम पर भी आ रहे हैं इस वक्त, और हम सरकार के निर्देश का इंतजार कर रहे हैं। लेकिन आप क्या
लाइट अभी तक नहीं आई, रात को कटी हुई।
अभी नहीं आई आपके
लाइट नहीं, बिल्कुल लाइट नहीं है।
CCTV footages that CNN News 18 has accessed of Pakistan shelling. This is from the Poonch area and from May 7. Remember, Pakistan had started shelling quite heavily in response to Operation Sindoor, and these are the CCTV footages that we've managed to access. This particular one is coming in from Poonch, and you can see the kind of damage. Poonch has been extremely badly hit. Another area that has been badly hit is Uri. My colleague Tejinder Singh Sodhi is also joining us for more on this. All right, these are visuals that are coming in. These are CCTV visuals that have been tracked from Poonch from May 7. These are not the latest ones, but from May 7, but it gives you an idea of the kind of intense shelling that is being done using artillery and others across the LOC in Jammu and Kashmir. Poonch and Uri continue to be two badly affected areas. My colleague Tejinder is also joining us with more on this. Tejinder.
Yes, Shivani. Pakistan Army has been violating the ceasefire and especially targeting the civilian population, both in Uri and Poonch. In Poonch, around 17 people so far have lost their lives, all civilians, including children and women, in the Pakistani aggression, and the CCTV footage clearly shows how Pakistan has been targeting the civilian population in the area. In Uri also, when Pakistan resorted to unprovoked ceasefire violation, they targeted the civilian population, especially there's a village called Lagama where you have the Hindu populations, and they are the people who never migrated when the armed terrorism started in Kashmir Valley. So in Uri, people from all faiths, be it Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, they all lived together. They did not migrate. But when Pakistan last night resorted to unprovoked ceasefire violation, they targeted the Hindu business establishments. A temple was also targeted in this area. In Poonch, Pakistan continues to target the religious places. A Gurdwara was yesterday targeted by the Pakistan Army. 3 Gurdwara workers, including a Granthi, were killed in Pakistani aggression. And now these CCTV footage clearly shows how civilian population is deliberately being targeted by the Pakistan Army. Shivani, ceasefire violation has been going on in Poonch for quite some time, but this is for the first time that the main town of Poonch is being targeted by the Pakistan side. Earlier, the ceasefire violation was limited to the villages adjacent to the line of control, but this time the Pakistan Army is deliberately targeting the main Poonch town. So all the casualties and all the damage which we have been reporting mostly has been reported from the main Poonch town. The CCTV footage which we have accessed clearly show that how the civilian population, the residential houses are being targeted. The Indian Army is giving a befitting response to Pakistan, making it sure that there is no collateral damage on the Pakistan side.
But speaking of the Indian response, Tajinder, can you just detail it a little bit more for us? There have been updates of some Pakistani posts being destroyed. Can you just, clarify all of that?
Yes, Shivani. There are reports and confirmed reports from our sources within the security establishment that in the retaliation, several Pakistani posts have been completely decimated in the retaliatory fire. You see, we have a radar system called Swati, which has been deployed at several locations. We are not disclosing the locations. Radar is capable of locating the exact location from where the Pakistan Army is targeting our position. So we are making it sure that we are pinpoint targeting the exact location from where Pakistan is launching those missiles, where from Pakistan is launching those artillery shells. So we are hitting Pakistan at the place from where they are targeting our position, our civilians. So yes, you are right that several Pakistani positions have been completely decimated along the line of control, both in Jammu region as well as in Kashmir sector. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Tajinder, for breaking that down for us. More updates coming in. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be chairing a review meeting on cyber security preparedness of banks and financial institutions later today. This will be via video conferencing with the bank MDs. My colleague Pallavi is joining us with more on this. Pallavi.
That's right. So it's at 5 o'clock is that why we see interaction which the finance minister is going to be having with all the banking MDs, and there's a reason behind it. There has been an input which has been received by the government that there's a possibility that a desperate Pakistan which requires funds and which is being going out crying for more and more funds may actually intrude into a cyberspace, and the consumer's money may be at risk. So that is the reason why all bank MDs are going to be spoken to with the finance minister, but the finance minister is going to discuss with them how is it to ensure that cyber intrusion into our money doesn't take place, how the consumers can remain safe. So that's the critical meeting which is going to take place at 5 p.m. today. Over a period of time, ever since this kind of Operation Sindoor had taken place, there have been a series of meetings which the finance minister and the finance ministry has been holding, and this is to ensure that there is no attempt which is being made by a desperate Pakistan to intrude into the finances. We already have been reporting on the economic crippling of Pakistan. This is in sync with that. Tonight is a very important meeting which is going to take place at the IMF, and these are the reasons why India suspects that Pakistan, which is in urgent need of funds, may try to be desperate, may become desperate, and that is where the government is going to try and ensure that we consumers remain safe.
The Indian government otherwise also is building a plan to put more pressure on those international lending organizations to reconsider some of the loans that they keep dishing out to Pakistan. Pallavi, that is also an important measure that the government is about to undertake.
Oh yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. The first word of a verbal communication with the IMF has already gone in from the Department of Revenue. Then the Department of other financial services has spoken to what are called multilateral development banks, which is the MDBs, to ensure that ADB, for that matter, or World Bank does not give out money to the Pakistan. I think tonight when the conversation begins, the executive director of India, who is a representative at IMF, will make very quick points that you've given them 24 times bailouts, you've given them more than $1.8 billion in the last 2 months, and we've seen a spike as far as the defense spending of Pakistan is concerned. Where are they suddenly getting this money from? They are using the money meant for aid and development actually to divert it toward terror financing. So therefore India will be urging, one, cutting off all this kind of international aid assistance to Pakistan, and second, putting Pakistan on the grey list, which means you are a kind of a defaulter list, so you don't get many more funds as far as the multinational development banks are concerned.
Absolutely. Pallavi, thanks a lot for joining us. We'll keep coming back to you for more. That meeting at 5 p.m. later this evening. Let's also bring you a quick check of the ground situation, particularly in areas like Uri. They continue to be tense as Pakistan has resorted to intense artillery shelling, as we were mentioning, through the night, targeting several residential and commercial structures as well.
के रहने वाले हैं, कल कब कितने बजे हुआ ये और कैसे हुआ?
ये रात को तकरीबन 9:30 के बाद स्टार्ट हो चुका है। सुबह 7 बजे तक इन्होंने कुछ भी रोका शोका नहीं। क्रॉस बॉर्डर शेलिंग बहुत ही ज़्यादा हेवी साउंड्स आ रहे थे, जिसकी वजह से हमारे जो माएँ बहनें, हमारे बच्चे बहुत ही ज़्यादा पैनिक सिचुएशन एरिया में क्रिएट हो चुकी थी। उसकी वजह से बहुत ही ज़्यादा बुरा हाल, देखो आप खुद देख सकते हो, सब कुछ ऐश में बिखर गया है। हमारे पास वर्ड्स ही नहीं है कि हम इस सिचुएशन को कैसे बयां करें। हमारे साथ ही ऐसा हो रहा है। बॉर्डर्स के लोग जो अनसेफ फील कर रहे हैं, हमारे पास कोई यहाँ पे कोई सिचुएशन, ये कोई बंकर्स नहीं प्रोवाइड किए गए, हमारे पास कुछ भी नहीं है। आप देख सकते हो खुद।
तो अब क्या चाहते हैं कि सरकार को ऐसे इवैक्यूएट कर ले या कहीं और लेके जाए सेफ जगह पे?
सरकार तो हम चाहते हैं इवैक्यूएट करे, हमारे पास बंकर। सबसे पहले तो हम पीसफुल एरिया के लोग हैं, हम अमन चाहते हैं, हम पीस चाहते हैं। हम सबसे पहले तो इन दोनों मुल्कों से गुजारिश करते हैं कि पीस होनी चाहिए, अमन होना चाहिए, क्योंकि हर साइड से इंसान मर रहे हैं, लोग मर रहे हैं, ह्यूमैनिटी मर रही है। आप प्लीज स्टॉप।
ये कितने बजे हुआ ये कल यहाँ पे?
ये 9:30 के करीब हुआ।
तो ये पहली बार यहाँ पे अपनी जिंदगी में देखा ऐसा गोला गिरते हुए?
हाँ, अभी तो पहली बार ही देखा सर। इससे पहले तो हमने देखा नहीं कभी गोली में। रात को 9:30 के बाद हम इतने परेशान हो गए, हमारे छोटे छोटे बच्चे, फैमिली मेम्बर्स, जो माएँ बहनें हमारी, सब परेशान थे। उसकी वजह से तो हम मतलब ना रात को खा पाए, कुछ ना सो पाए सर, इतने ज़्यादा परेशान थे।
तो यहाँ से लोग निकल भी रहे हैं काफी सारे?
हाँ सर, बहुत ज़्यादा। हमारा तो मुझे लगता है सर, उड़ी सेक्टर में 90% लोग इस टाइम यहाँ से बाहर हैं।
तो आप चाहते हैं कि सरकार आपको यहाँ से कहीं सेफ जगह पे ले जाए?
हाँ सर, हम तो चाहते हैं सर, हम हर कोई सेफ ही लेके जाए यार सर। और सरकार से हमारी ये विनती है कि मतलब जिसका जो नुकसान हुआ है
उसको कम से कम भरपाई की,
उसकी कम से कम भरपाई की जाए।
इस वक्त हम उड़ी में मौजूद हैं। कल रात को यहाँ पर बहुत ज्यादा गोलाबारी हुई। पाकिस्तान ने इनडिस्क्रिमिनेट फायर किया। यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं इस वक्त उड़ी की सिचुएशन क्या है। तकरीबन पूरा बाजार जो है वो सुनसान पड़ा हुआ है। पूरा इलाका जो है वो पूरा खाली हो चुका है। 80% आबादी जो है यहाँ से वो नकल मकानी कर चुकी है। सब लोग लगातार, आज भी जो लोग जिन्होंने रात को कहीं ना कहीं शरण ली, क्योंकि उड़ी में तो सबसे बड़ी मुश्किल की बात यह है कि यहाँ पर लोगों के पास शरण लेने के लिए जगह नहीं है। लोगों ने किसी तरह से रात गुजारी और इस वक्त मैक्सिमम लोग जो हैं वो अपने अपने घरों से जो हैं वो निकल कर सेफर प्लेसेस पर जाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। लगातार रात को जो गोलाबारी की वजह से लोग दहशत में रहे। कई जगहों पर जो है वो जख्मी होने की इतलात मौसूल हुई। यहाँ पर उड़ी में तिरकांजन इलाके में राजरवानी इलाके में एक औरत जो है वो उसकी मौत वाक़ा होगी इस गोलाबारी में, और कई लोग जो हैं वो जख्मी हुए। थाजिल के अंदर जख्मी हुए। तीनों एतराफ से जो है उड़ी के अंदर जो है वो पाकिस्तान की तरफ से जो सीज फायर वायलेशन किया गया। लगातार जो है आर्टिलरी शेल्स जो हैं वो बरसाए गए। सिविलियन आबादी को जो है वो टारगेट किया गया। आप यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं पूरी मार्केट जो है वो पूरी सुनसान पड़ी है। आपको यहाँ पर कोई भी शख्स जो है इस तरह से घूमता नजर नहीं आएगा, जबकि उड़ी के अंदर जो है हमेशा गहमा गहमी चहल पहल रहती थी। ये बाजार जो है वो भरा रहता था। लोग यहाँ पर हर एतराफ से आते थे, क्योंकि उड़ी एक बहुत बड़ा मार्केट है। यहाँ पर चाहे कमलकोट सेक्टर हो, चाहे हाजी पीर सेक्टर हो, चाहे आप सोकड़ की बात करें, चाहे आप दूसरे इलाकों की बात करें, वहाँ के लोग जो है वो मेन मार्केटिंग करने के लिए उड़ी ही आते थे। उड़ी जो मरकज माना जाता है, और यहाँ पर इस वक्त पूरा सन्नाटा छाया हुआ है।
ग्राउंड जीरो की तस्वीरें हम दिखाना चाहेंगे। विजय आफा को मैं कहूंगा कि ये अंदर इस मकान में जाए और कोशिश करे कि जो तस्वीरें हैं ग्राउंड जीरो के हकाइक जो है वो सामने लाए, क्योंकि जिस तरह से लगातार लोगों का कहना है कि सीज फायर वायलेशंस हुई है पास्ट में भी, लेकिन आज इस तरह की वायलेशंस जो हुई है, इस तरह की शेलिंग जो हुई है वो काफी भयानक है। और आप देख सकते हैं कि दिल दहलाने वाले मनाजिर जो है वो न्यूज़ 18 के कैमरा में कैद हो रहे हैं। और ये घरों का हाल है जिससे यकीनी तौर पर जो आंखें हैं वो नम होती है, दिल टूट जाते हैं, और हर किसी के दिल से आह निकलती है। और लोग चाहते हैं कि ये वार जो है ये रुक जाए, क्योंकि इनका कहना है कि जो बॉर्डर्स पे लोग रहते हैं वही इस वार की कदर समझते हैं, क्योंकि किस जो तबाही है वो खास तौर पर बॉर्डर एरिया के लोगों को ही झेलनी पड़ती है। और साथ ही साथ ये चाहते हैं कि सरकार इस तरह के इकदाम उठाए कि इनकी जानों का तहफ़्फ़ुज़ जो है वो मुमकिन बनाया जा सके। ये घरों की तस्वीरें हैं, ये रेजिडेंशियल एरियाज की तस्वीरें हैं। नाम बताए अपना?
लवली कुमार।
लवली जी, बताइए क्या हुआ रात को? हालांकि हम भी मौजूद थे, हमने खुद देखा, डरावना माहौल था, खौफ था।
बहुत खौफ था सर।
रात को यहाँ पे पड़े, ऊपर टीन पे इसके छर्रे पड़े, शीशे जितने भी मकान के सब टूट गए, ये पूरे गिर गए सब कुछ। रात को ऐसे ही बैठे रहे, ऐसे ही सोए रहे जमीन पे।
तो कभी इस तरह का अटैक देखा है आपने?
ये पहली दफा देखा ये।
तो आप क्या चाहते हैं आप बॉर्डर्स में जिस तरह से लोग रह रहे हैं?
थोड़ा
Thanks a lot for staying with us. I'm Shivani Gupta and we continue to get you the latest that we're tracking on the India-Pakistan situation. Breaking updates coming in. Top government sources are telling CNN News 18 that India's message to Pakistan is absolutely clear, that de-escalate as soon as possible, otherwise they will only have a heavy price to pay. Pakistan instead should focus on the root cause of the problem, which is terror emanating from its territory. India in its first attack has only targeted enemies of India in Pakistan, not any military targets or civilians, and Pakistan needs to understand the distinction. Is that message really going to Pakistan is the big question really. My colleague Anand Narasimhan is also joining us for more on this. Anand, we've seen not just noted US sanctioned terrorists coming out in the open as far as funeral processions are concerned, but the Pakistani army standing right behind them.
Well, those pictures have been also quoted by the Indian envoy to the United Kingdom, Vikram Doraiswamy, where and after Vikram Misri, it's a second diplomat who's now come out and very clearly put it out on international media, asking this question: how is a proscribed US proscribed terrorist and a Lashkar operative, key man of the Lashkar, even though he may present a very benign face, leading the funeral prayers where jihadis are being given a state funeral? And the Pakistan military senior officials and also some members of the Pakistan polity are standing behind and being led by a terrorist. Is this not a state backing for jihad and for terrorists? That's the big question. The other part Bharat is saying is that we have hit Pakistan hard, and the fight is with the terror infrastructure and dismembering and dismantling the terror infrastructure. Bharat's focus is very, very clear that they want Pakistan to offer up and give up the 3-4 big figureheads of the Lashkar and the Jaish. So Masood Azhar, Rauf Asghar, Talha Saeed and Hafiz Saeed. These are the names that Bharat would like Pakistan to sit across the table and discuss and clearly show intent. If they give up these people for being brought to justice for the terror acts that they have masterminded and fomented on Indian soil, then Bharat will take Pakistan's commitment towards waging a war against terrorism very, very seriously. Till then, what Bharat will see is that every act, military escalation by the Pakistanis, is a direct correlation of defending their own terror infrastructure. That's how Bharat will see it, and that's exactly what the Indian ambassador to the United States, Vinay Mohan Kwatra, also espoused.
Anand, just stay with me. I also want to go across to our experts joining us. Brigadier Vinod Datta, Kargil war veteran, is actually joining us. Thanks a lot, sir, for your time. How do you see the kind of aggression that is coming in from Pakistan and the response that India is giving? So far, very measured, very controlled and non-escalatory.
Yeah, well, India was expecting, some kind of retaliation from Pakistan, though India had already, sensitized the international community, and even Pakistan was aware that India is going to have surgical strikes on the terror outfits, and Indian Army calculated it very, very precisely. There was no collateral damage, and the hit probability was 100%. Well, India was expected, and India was all prepared for this. And last night, when the Pakistanis tried to do this adventure, it was on the same pattern what they did in 1971. I remember clearly on 3rd of December when they attacked 13 airfields, and I was present in one of the airfields which was bombed. So India had foiled all the attacks, and our air defense system. And I can say very proudly, the motto of air defense is Akashe Shatru Ne Jahi. And the enemy could not, enter the Indian skies. They were decimated, they were downed, they were told to return back. And it was a great success for Indian air defense and the defense forces. Whereas the early warning systems of in Lahore, Faisalabad, the AWACS have been done away with. So Pakistan was in total turmoil last night, and it was also a clear message to Pakistan that should you try any misadventure, though India is doing very calibrated and retaliatory attacks only.
Yes.
India doesn't want to escalate. India wants a peaceful and a stable Pakistan, but it will not tolerate any kind of nonsense as far as terrorism is concerned. And Pakistan is well aware. In Balakot, we have, we struck one target. Here there were 9, and if more mushroom, they will also be, finished and sent to the right destination.
Sir, just stay with me. Brigadier Air Marshal B.K. Pandey, former IAF Training Command Chief, is also with us. I quickly first want to go across to a social media post that has come in from the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. He has made heartfelt tributes to the immortal warrior of the nation, Maharana Pratap, on his birth anniversary. The X-tweet also goes on to say, the courage and valor he displayed in defending the pride of the motherland continues to serve as a guiding light for our brave heroes and heroines today. His valorous life dedicated to Mother India will forever inspire the people of the nation. Not much else from the Prime Minister at this stage, but only honoring the memory of Maharana Pratap. Let me go back across to our guests who continue to be with us. Air Marshal B.K. Pandey is also with us. Sir, for the benefit of our viewers, could you please outline the superiority that India has, particularly in the skies, versus Pakistan?
Well, basically the comparison has to be made between the two air forces and of course the forces on the ground that act against air attacks. So in the total perspective, India is definitely better equipped than Pakistan at the moment, because we are a larger force and we are capable of taking on, of course, not only Pakistan, but even other enemies that may confront us.
Yes. I'll come back to you, sir. Air Marshal and Brigadier Vinod Datta, just stay with me. We have more updates coming in as far as Pakistan's response to India is concerned. Now the Defence Minister Khwaja Asif has made one more threat against India. He has gone on to say, if no talks, then guns. This is what Khwaja Asif has said. He's been at the forefront of making inflammatory statements against India, but the Indian intelligence agencies see this only as a sign of desperation. It also depends on what side of the bed he wakes up in the morning, because some days he talks about stopping the escalation where it is, that if India stops, we will stop. Then another day he wakes up and threatens India with nuclear weapons. This is the same man who has, of course, gone on international media to accept that Pakistan was doing the dirty job of the US and the West for 30 years when it was funding, training and harboring terror groups inside its territory. My colleague Anand is also joining us to break this down further for us. How seriously are we to take Khwaja Asif?
Well, Bharat is not taking Khwaja Asif seriously because he's highly discredited himself by the comments that he's made. But there is a picture behind the picture. Khwaja Asif is worried about his political constituency, that is Sialkot. Sialkot has undergone some heavy pummeling and punishment with the air defense systems, reportedly also totally damaged because of Bharat's counter reaction to Pakistan's military strikes. What one needs to listen carefully when we listen to Khwaja Asif speak is, he says that we cannot afford to carry this on for long. He's trying to put words and project it in a way that Pakistan is at a position of strength, but in that line itself emerges Pakistan's vulnerability. Pakistan does not have the faculty, the funds, nor does it have the fortitude to be able to continue an intense engagement with Bharat. And that is something that is coming through from Khwaja Asif and his nervousness. So much so that he is contradicting himself within 12 hours of his interviews between one media platform to another. So that is the reason why, because the Pakistanis don't know what's hit them. The other part is that being the defense minister of Pakistan, he's actually come across as clueless and quite literally kept in the dark by the military establishment. And that itself is there for us. So somewhere from the Indian think tank and the Indian government, the more Khwaja Asif speaks, the better for Bharat, because the more Pakistan gets exposed globally.
Absolutely. Ananda, we're getting an excerpt of his latest statement, I believe. Let's just play that out for our viewers.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की गवर्नमेंट की, और वो नहीं सुनते, तो फिर क्या अगली बात, अगर टेबल पे बात नहीं होती, तो क्या अगली बात बंदूक पे होगी, बंदूक के जरिए होगी?
जी बिल्कुल, that is the only option left to us.
दिनों में पाकिस्तान को फैसला करना होगा, घंटों में करना होगा, और वी स्टिल हैव द लग्जरी कि अच्छा एक दो हफ्ते और देख लेते हैं चीजें बने.
We do not have the luxury of waiting for days. मैंने plural इस्तेमाल किया. We do not have the luxury to wait. This patience will cost us. So we have to stop them right now in the tracks. कि ये चीज जो है acceptable नहीं है. ये हमने 2-3 दिन देख लिया है कि de-escalation की possibilities की जो उम्मीद लगाई थी, लेकिन ये de-escalate नहीं हो रहा. So Pakistan is taking things, a bit a notch up now or further.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की.
All right, there you heard it. A bit of a leading question there, but the defense minister certainly approving what was asked, that if there are no direct talks, then there will be guns. In other ways, he's saying that Pakistan will lose its patience and escalate further, because he's painting it out to be that India is not de-escalating. But India has given them a route off this escalation ladder at every step. Thrice now. After the Pahalgam attack, India conducted very surgical strikes on terror camps, but Pakistan retaliated. Then we hit back only in retaliation, in proportion, but they tried their misadventure again last night. Air Marshal B.K. Pandey and Brigadier Vinod Datta both continue to be with us. Thank you for your patience, gentlemen. Brigadier Vinod Datta, how do you see this bravado from the Pakistani establishment? I mean, they've not won a single war with India. They possibly cannot sustain themselves in a conventional war with India even today, but the bravado is endless.
Yeah, I agree with you because this kind of pseudo confidence which they have, the kind of trust they have on false claims, the kind of destiny they have with having tall claims like even 65 and 71 war. 65, our Honorable Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri ji had already said कि अयूब खान साहब आपको आने की जहमत नहीं है. When they were claiming that we have reached Ambala, he says we will come and look you up in Lahore, and we did the same thing. 71 also it was repeated. They are living in a fool's paradise. You see, they should know that what is their reality. They don't have logistic stamina as far as defense is concerned. They don't have a good financial health. They don't have a good, rapport with the international community. They have been going with a begging bowl everywhere. And you see, warfare these days, it's not, rhetoric or jingoism by which you can win. They have indulged in that. But last night we have seen, you see, they could not even penetrate our air defense wall.
Yes.
Leave aside, taking on India. And India retaliated so hard. And now, just because they have to make some kind of statement to their people, in fact, I will only tell the government of Pakistan, वतन की फिक्र करना था, वतन की बर्बादी आने वाली है. So they should, wait, ponder, and take a step back and help in bringing down the terrorism, because they themselves are being impacted so badly by terrorism. And this is high time that they should keep aside their ulterior motives, their political ambitions, and their loot and pillage which they have done of this country. And they should look after their people.
Yeah. Air Marshal, please weigh in on this. I want to understand from you India's response so far. Why is it that India's response is only proportionate retaliation? Because Pakistan has made it very clear it will target both military and civilian installations, which India does not want to do on the Pakistani side. But India is still ensuring that this does not escalate any further, despite being the bigger power and the bigger military here. Just give me your sense of the Indian mind here.
Well, India is a very mature nation, and India would not like to unnecessarily escalate the conflict with Pakistan, because ultimately it has no benefit for India. India would like to resolve issues with Pakistan in a more civilized fashion, and that is the option that is advisable. War is not an option. It is not advisable for the nation's economy or the welfare of its people. So, to that extent, I think it's a very pragmatic step that the Indian government has taken, that to be very cautious and very patient, even with dealing with an enemy like Pakistan. So, I don't think we need to worry about this.
Okay, we don't need to worry. That certainly, of course, is the confidence, quiet confidence that India has, unlike the bravado that is coming in from Pakistan. Gentlemen, just stay with me. I have some more breaking updates that are coming in. Another CNN mega exclusive. India has hit Pakistan, and quite badly. This is information that we're getting about what was India's retaliation against Pakistan's drone and other missile strikes last evening. We are being told that India hit their air defense systems last night as well, not just last afternoon when it happened, came out on the Lahore air defense system, but last night as well, India has hit their air defense systems. India has sent 14 loitering munitions and hit 12 air defense systems in various cities. India has also discussed possible scenarios for future action and is absolutely well prepared. My colleague Anand Narasimhan bringing us more on this. Anand.
Well, so this is confirmation of why Khwaja Asif was nervous. Like we said, there is CNN News 18 via Manoj Kumar Gupta has been able to understand and glean that Pakistan's military strike on the intervening night of 8th May and 9th May, and especially between 8:30 p.m. and 9:15 p.m. Indian Standard Time, was aimed at about 15 locations between Leh, Jammu, Srinagar, Akhnur downwards all the way till Jaisalmer. There are 2-3 assessments here. Bharat was able to negate, neutralize all probing efforts by the Pakistan military via the air route, be it whatever kind of projectiles, so be it missiles, be it loitering munitions, drones, everything was neutralized between the Army air defense systems and the Air Force air defense system. So it was a comprehensive wipeout there, no success at all for the Pakistan military. In Jawabi Karwai, because like to like, that's the statement that India had said, whatever you do, we will give it back to you in equal measure. Success rate for Bharat has been far higher. Out of 14 loitering munitions that were sent, 12 have found their mark. There's a reason why Rawalpindi PCB actually stopped not just the Pakistan Super League, they have decided to move it away to the UAE, because the air defense system installation in Pindi is not far away from the cricket stadium. So there were loud explosions and it's made a lot of the foreign players very nervous. So that's demolished. The Walton Road in Lahore was a setback by whatever Karwai was done even on 8th morning. Then the other aspect is Sialkot. So the Sialkot has seen pummeling both on 7th, 8th and 8th, 9th by the Indian probes or the Indian reply. The other part is there are portions in Karachi, in Quetta, there are some other locations like Sargodha and so many other locations where we have to wait for confirmation. But 12 out of the 14 loitering munitions that were sent as reply have found their mark. But what stands out, there are two ways to look at it. Were the Pakistanis were only sending probing entries across the length and breadth of the western border? That's the big question, because most of it were not very heavily weaponized, or it did not carry too much of munition. Yani banduk thi par goli nahi thi. So that was the case with a lot of it. So is that the state of the current military, or were they trying to probe? But the larger question, then there is another question. If they wanted to probe, they could have targeted 5 locations. Why try 15, and that too across the length and breadth of the western border, and go into such a big expansive probe? But that shows that Pakistan has been hurt badly. And that's why India is looking at the calibration levels and to also see what kind of response There is a reason why there are alerts given to all the ports, etc., and not just in the western border. Even the southern borders and some of the eastern borders have also now been alerted to say to maintain certain vigil. If Leh was also on the target radar, something can give tonight. So it could be an active night or an active evening, 9th and 10th of May also, Shivani.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anand, for putting that into perspective. Were the Pakistanis trying to test our systems, see what they were up against? We'll take that to our experts in just a bit, but more updates coming in. We were just telling you about Khwaja Asif talking about that there will be guns if no talks, but red-faced after India's strikes and also India's defense, not allowing any of their drones or missiles to penetrate. Pakistan Defense Minister Khwaja Asif now says that Pakistan did not intercept Indian missiles deliberately. We've got this excerpt coming to us. Let's listen in.
हमला हुआ वो ड्रोन हमला बेसिकली हमारी जो लोकेशंस हैं उसको डिटेक्ट करने के लिए जो है किया गया एक टेक्निकल चीज है जिसको मैं उस तरह एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर सकता और इसलिए उनको इंटरसेप्ट ना किया गया ताकि हमारी लोकेशंस जो हैं वो लीक ना हो या वो लोकेट ना हो और जब वो एक सेफ लिमिट पे आए तो हमने उनको मार कराया.
All right, so there you hear the Pakistan Defence Ministry now in an official capacity in their parliament, it seems, speaking to the rest of the decision makers and saying that they did not intercept Indian missiles and drones deliberately so that they don't give out their locations. I don't know how strong that statement is, but my colleague Siddhant is also joining us with more on this. Siddhant, this seems to be, face-saving measures by the Pakistan government.
Well, that's right, Shivani. And in fact, Mr. Khwaja Asif should also realize that, he has been reading handouts from Rawalpindi from last 3 weeks. And perhaps now he should realize that Rawalpindi, the army of Pakistan, is making him look fool in front of the whole world in last 3 weeks, especially the kind of statements that have come from his side. And now this is a fresh statement where a defense minister of our country is saying that we had deliberately not intercepted the Indian drones, because if we had done that, they would have got to know about our key army installation, security installation. Perhaps the most bizarre reply ever given by any force or defense minister of any country. We have been covering wars, reporting on wars from last 3 years, and never we heard of this excuse coming from any of these countries who were at war. So, this is for the first time we are hearing that drones were deliberately were allowed by Pakistani air defense systems, and they were not shot down only because if they had been shot down by the army, then India would have got to know about their key installation. But the fact is, Shivani, that India had brought down Lahore's air defense systems. Perhaps that was confirmed by the Indian side officially yesterday. In fact, there were other military installations also which were hit by the Indian side, and this was in the response to what Pakistan attempted to do day before yesterday, perhaps targeting Indian key installations at various locations. Right.
Siddhant, thank you for joining us. Let me take this to our experts, in fact, joining us. Air Marshal B.K. Pandey, former IAF Training Command Chief, is with us. Vice Air Marshal, can you make sense of what Khwaja Asif is saying? Is there any sense at all in what he is trying to present as a defense of why Indian drones managed to penetrate their systems? This could well be, also ignominy because of the fact that none of their drones managed to land anywhere in India. If anything landed, it did not detonate. So it was either faulty or it was brought down in the skies itself.
No, they may put up any excuse, but our drone systems are quite capable of penetrating the Pakistani airspace and Pakistani air defenses. So there is no doubt about that. So I don't think we should take their explanations very seriously.
No, this seems to be an excuse that he's presenting to his own people, it seems, because there seems to be pretty heavy damage, particularly on their air defense systems from the Indian side.
Yeah, as I said, our drones are very capable, and they can take on the Pakistanis. There is no problem there.
I believe
Their
I heard.
defenses are not strong enough.
Yeah. Air Marshal, I think I heard Khwaja Asif say something like, we did not intercept them so that we don't give out our locations or our sensitive locations. And we only did.
I don't think that is true, because we know their locations. Their locations are well known to us. So there is nothing to hide there. So it is just that our drones are quite capable of taking on their targets and destroying them.
Yes. For the benefit of our viewers, I'm just trying to technically break down what he's saying. Is there any technical sense in what he's saying, that we allowed them to come as close as possible before doing anything so that we don't give out our locations? That does that make any sense at all? Is that any military strategy?
Not at all.
Not at all. Exactly.
Not at all.
Brigadier Vinod Datta, you want to come in on this? Face-saving, bravado, inflammatory speeches and statements, that's all that Pakistan seems to be managing right now.
Well, I would only say about Khwaja Asif that he is calm, cool and clueless. You see, being a defense minister, he doesn't know what is happening. And that is the character of Pakistan. Even when Kargil, was planned, they had made a Kargil cabal in which the DGMO, the Prime Minister, I mean, they were not involved at all. Pervez Musharraf has involved only, GOC 10 Corps and Major General Jamshed Hussain, Commander FCNA, and the CGS, who was sitting in the general headquarters. So it is a tradition. I mean, it is a modus operandi. They ignorant about what is happening, and he has been giving loose statements. And khali takreer karne se kuch nahi hota hai. You have to strike and strike hard. Why should India allow these weapons to come? Because there was a iron wall which was there. They were intercepted, they were downed, they were destroyed. So this is ridiculous that we allowed them. We will not allow anything, inside our territory.
Yes.
And our air defense system is one of the formidable systems which we have. I mean, whether you talk of S-400 or Akash or any other system, we have got a series of these air defense systems. And our air defense system and CNR system is so good, control and reporting system. So, I have served in an air defense brigade, and we know, how much time do we take? And India had taken seconds to retaliate.
Yes.
And that's, a time which is required to retaliate back. You can't be thinking and taking decisions till cows come home. When Pakistan was attacked, by these surgical strikes on these terror camps or the markers, they were attacked in the middle of the night, and the meeting was held at 10 o'clock. I mean, which nation will do that? So, they were aware of it, and they know that, where they stand. But केवल जुगलबंदी करने से, जुमलेबाजी करने से आप आवाम को पागल नहीं बना सकते. You have done it for more than 77 years, but you can't take them for a ride any further.
Yes. Not the day and age where you can fool your own public. I request our guests to stay with us. We're getting some more exclusive coverage coming in as far as Pakistan's designs are concerned. Pakistan tried to target Hindu-dominated areas in Uri, specifically in Lagama village of Uri, where Hindus reside. Several shells were fired by Pakistan. A Prachin Pandav Mandir has suffered damage as one shell landed near the temple. The priest has told CNN News 18 that the temple and Hindus living in the area were the targets of these attacks. Take a look.
So multiple shells actually landed in the civilian population in Uri, and one such shell landed in the temple premises in this area of Lagama in Uri, where it landed. Look at this, shattered glasses. This side has been shattered. Even the roof there has been cut, and second side you will also see a bit of torn roof. This is because of the shell which landed. Glass are still lying around, but Bashir will show you the exact spot where the shell landed. This is on the exterior side of the temple where the shell landed, and then another shell landed on the other side of the road. But this shell was so huge that the priest says that he believes it was a deliberate targeting of a temple here, and they wanted to target the temple here in Uri, and that's why the shell was fired at this location. This is the temple premises you will see above us, where the temple is located, and he believes that if shell would have come towards this side, then it might have created a more damage to the infrastructure. But lucky enough for the temple people, disciples, and also the priests, that the shell landed outside, causing a few damage in the temple premises, but not so much. Thankfully, the shell landed outside, but they believe there is a deliberate targeting for the Hindus and also the people of this temple where it exists in this particular place of Uri. The Indian Army has given a befitting reply, and one has to wait that how this transpires from here on. बाबा सुभाष नायक जी, क्या हुआ कल यहाँ पे? आप यहाँ पे पुजारी के रूप में काम कर रहे हैं, क्या हुआ था मंदिर के बाहर?
यहाँ कल को रात को 11 बजे सेलिंग स्टार्ट हुआ पाकिस्तान की तरफ से, तो धीरे धीरे छोटा छोटा गिरता रहा। उसके बाद आप सोच लीजिए 12 बजे से लेकर 2 बजे तक बहुत सेलिंग हुआ, जो कि यहाँ पर हिंदू और ये मंदिर और जो आर्मी का बेस, इसको टारगेट ज़्यादा उन्होंने किए थे, तो इसलिए बहुत सेलिंग हुआ। जो कि यहाँ पर मंदिर के आसपास 3 इधर गिरा है, आगे गिरा है, और हमारा बाज़ार में लगामा जो बाज़ार है, मार्केट है, वहाँ पर भी डैमेज बहुत घर हुआ। उसके बाद नीचे भी हिंदुओं का बस्ती, वहाँ पर भी डैमेज हुआ। NHPC जो हमारा पावर प्लांट है केंद्र सरकार का, वहाँ पर भी बहुत डैमेज हुआ। तो कम से कम 11 से लेकर 4 बजे तक सेलिंग शुरू हुआ। हमारा भी फौजियों का भी उसको मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया गया। नहीं तो यहाँ पर जो ड्रोन मैंने खुद देखा हुआ था, 12 बजे ड्रोन जो उड़ रहा था, तो उसी को टारगेट करके उन्होंने गिराया। नहीं तो यहाँ पर बहुत डैमेज कंट्रोल होता, बहुत, जो कि कल्पना से परे होता।
तो आपको लगता है कि यहाँ पर मंदिर को निशाना बनाने की कोशिश?
हाँ जी, आपके सामने में ही है, मंदिर से 2 मतलब कम से कम 20 फुट की दूरी पर गिरा है। तो गांव के अंदर भी टारगेट आपने देखा, बाजार में जो बाजार है और लगामा का जो हिंदू बस्ती कितना दूर है, तो वही पास में, तो टारगेट से चूक हुआ। नहीं तो गांव के भी बहुत डैमेज होता, कैजुअलिटी बहुत होता, मंदिर भी बहुत नष्ट होता। ऐसे भी मेरा मंदिर का बहुत डैमेज हुआ है, इसी के शब्द की वजह से बहुत जोर से हुआ, जो भयानक हुआ है 20 फुट के दूर पर। तो मंदिर यही इसी के लिए ही टारगेट था उनका।
तो आपको लगता है मंदिर को डिलिबरेटली टारगेट करने की कोशिश की?
हाँ जी, 100% मंदिर और हिंदुओं का को टारगेट किया हुआ।
Ishan is in fact joining us live now. Ishan, you have been bringing us reports of the damage that particularly Uri has taken, and this particular village we've just played out that report. What are the concerns in the minds of the residents there?
Well, the concerns are that the overnight shelling is shattering them. The overnight shelling is bringing life to a halt, and scaring them the most is the night time when shells start to land in the residential areas. Now, there's a mini population of Kashmir, Hindus living in one village in Uri where multiple shells have landed, and the priest of the temple where one of the shells landed has said to CNN News 18 that he understands that the target was the Hindu community, particularly the temple, but the Pakistan deliberately tried to shower shells at these locations and at these houses. Civilians are the ones who face the brunt of the ceasefire violation. That's why we're seeing that the civilians have moved out of vulnerable areas. They were waiting and thinking yesterday, because we were here yesterday in Uri, thinking that there might be some restraint from both the sides, and which will result in a kind of de-escalation on the line of control. But that didn't happen, which has led to a wider escalation. We saw yesterday there were swarm drones which were sent in by Pakistan towards Jammu, and blackout was observed in most parts of Kashmir as well, fearing that there could be possibility of such strikes in Kashmir as well. But the artillery shelling in Uri, Kupwara has disturbed these families, have made them move out of these areas. Vehicles after vehicles, while we traveled through Uri, we saw them leaving with their some handful of belongings so that they could carry. Some of them have their cattle and other stuff with them, and they are also taking them along wherever they can. In Kupwara also, we have seen a massive shelling taking place and the residential houses have been destroyed. In Uri, many houses, shops, business establishments have faced the bombardment, particularly the artillery shelling of Pakistan, which has led to destruction. Even the market where I'm standing right now, here also there were multiple bullets and shells that were heard, and one of the shells actually landed nearby in the marketplace where I'm right now in the night time. So it's all dangerous situation that's unfolding, particularly in the villages and those areas that are living close to the line of control. In Poonch, we're given to understand that around 70 to 80% of the population, particularly in those areas where shelling has been frequent, have left the area. So is the case with Uri. There are a lot of people living close to the line of control or in the direct line of fire have also left, and people who had avenues to move to Srinagar have also moved there. The government is providing all possible help, with the Lieutenant Governor also visiting the spot and ensuring, and Chief Minister while also went to Jammu and parts of Jammu, that there's a whole of government approach where they won't leave any civilians stranded and will ensure everyone's safety. But yes, this is story just still unfolding. One has to see what transpires in the next couple of days.
Absolutely. Intense shelling has been taking place across the LSE for the last 2 days now, since Operation Sindoor was first conducted and announced. More updates coming in. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has spoken to UK Foreign Secretary. He has announced on his social media profile that he had discussions centered around countering terrorism, for which there must be zero tolerance. My colleague Siddhant Mishra is also joining us for more on this. So, more and more discussions being taken on by the External Affairs Minister. This is what he's been doing since the Pahalgam attack, but particularly since Operation Sindoor was announced and then Pakistan showed its intent to escalate.
Well, that's right, Shivani. In fact, this is the first conversation between Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar and UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy. In fact, once they spoke before Operation Sindoor also. And in fact, right ahead of Operation Sindoor, Prime Minister Modi spoke to Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Perhaps that conversation was about the announcement of a free trade agreement between the two countries. And hours after that conversation, India struck 9 terror targets in Pakistan. Perhaps as far as this entire escalation is concerned, UK, US, Saudi Arabia, Qatar have to play a very, very significant role. In fact, NSA Doval also briefed his UK counterpart right after the strikes. And today this conversation is happening ahead of crucial IMF meeting, Shivani, let's not forget that. And in fact, India is throwing all its weight, perhaps this time, to throttle Pakistan economically. In fact, yesterday, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri also said it on record that there should not be another bailout package which IMF should announce for Pakistan. At least India is going to object. India will use its diplomatic might to get that next bailout package stopped. There have been 24 such programs announced by IMF since Pakistan's independence, because India has to say that this money is being diverted for terror activities in India, and in fact India has very credible evidence to substantiate this claims, whether it's how Pakistan has been protecting TRF, how TRF's name was removed, how India had provided evidence related to TRF to UNSC 1267 committee twice, but there was no action taken. So India has enough evidence to substantiate this claims. Perhaps ahead of the meeting, this very significant conversation took place between Foreign Minister Jaishankar and UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy.
Siddhant, thanks a lot for joining us. The External Affairs Minister has had talks also with counterparts in Italy, in EU, and of course he had the conversation with Secretary Rubio, US Secretary Rubio last evening after the strikes first came to light, and underlined India's targeted and measured response to cross-border terrorism, and also reiterated that India will firmly counter any attempts at escalation. So certainly the External Affairs Ministry doing its work, which is to get its allies and others on board and also apprise them possibly of what Pakistan has tried to do, even if it has failed in doing so. Let's go across to some more breaking updates coming in. Home Ministry has been very active. It has now written to Chief Secretaries of all states, asking to invoke emergency powers under civil defense rules for emergency procurement. Remember, the Home Minister had chaired an important meeting with all the internal security authorities and agencies, the BSF, CISF, paramilitary forces, etc., and top Home Ministry officials to take stock of the situation. Airport safety and upgradation of airport protocols were discussed, but we're now getting to know that emergency procurement that states may need has also been approved. There are rules under emergency provisions to make emergency procurement, and the MHA has now written to chief secretaries asking for invoking those rules. My colleague Arunima is bringing us more on this. So more and more preparation taking place. Arunima, how do you read this, the approval for emergency procurements now?
So this is a letter that has been written by the Directorate of Civil Defence, which falls under the Ministry of Home Affairs. They have asked the chief secretaries of the various state governments to invoke Section 11 of the Civil Defence Rules and give emergency procurement power to the respective Directorate or Director of Civil Defence in their state or union territory. This would mean that if an emergency situation arises, if a hostile situation arises, to maintain vital services, to maintain protection of civilians, whatever procurement has to be done for that, you do not require sanctions from the top. The director himself will be having the emergency power to carry on with any kind of procurement. For example, if medicines are required, or if oxygen cylinders or any medical help, medical procurement is needed, or if there are community bunkers for which provisioning is needed to keep the civilian population safe, then for that this emergency procurement power will go a long way. And I can tell you, after speaking to top officials, that the mock drills that were carried out were an eye-opening exercise that has opened up the limitations that are there since the civil defense protocol has been used only after 1971. It is getting used now. So there are a lot of lacunas and loopholes that have now come up. All of those are being addressed now, and this letter requesting for emergency procurement power be invoked, it should be seen in that light.
All of this preparation and advanced preparation that is being done, Arunima, any precedent to when was the last time all of these activities were undertaken, such measures were taken? You and Akash both have been bringing us perspective on what the armed forces are doing, have been told to do, what the internal security agencies have been told to do. This certainly seems to be, I don't know if there's any other term to express it, preparation for war?
See, since 1971, this kind of preparation has not been seen by India. Yes, Operation Vijay, when Kargil was on, that did happen, but that was a limited conflict, limited to the northern state, now the union territories of Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. What we are seeing now is the only precedent I can think about is 1971. Government of India is not saying that we have gone to war with Pakistan. They are saying we are only responding to an escalation, which is Pahalgam. But at the same time, we have to be prepared. The kind of aggression, misadventure that we have seen from Pakistan over the last 48 hours only makes us think that Pakistan is not taking a step back, even after being beaten black and blue, to use the term, by our air defense system. So even tonight is critical. The meetings that have happened between Raksha Mantri with the service chiefs and CDS, the meeting that has happened between Griha Mantri and the paramilitary chiefs, parallel meetings that are happening by Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Agriculture Minister, Jal Shakti Minister. There are procurement related meetings happening at every ministry. The instruction is, and this is what Prime Minister told when he met all the secretaries, that you must take all steps to ensure that the civilians do not suffer. So we don't really know what Pakistan might come up with next, but we want to be ready, and that is the context in which this letter seeking for emergency provisions under Section 11 be invoked. It is that background in which the letter should be seen. It's quite possible that things only improve from here on, things de-escalate. But if they don't, we should be prepared.
Yes, it's also a unique situation for India, because I think majority of its population, 60-70% of it, has never seen a war, so they don't really know what to do and what could come in if we are faced with such a situation. Air Marshal B.K. Pandey and Brigadier Vinod Datta continue to be with us. Brigadier, I'm coming to you first up. Let's just look forward a little bit. We've been trying to grapple with the issue or the question of what happens next. Do you believe Pakistan will now continue to do this? They have been testing us for the last 2 days. despite what India has managed on the other side, they will continue to do this? Is there any sanity that may prevail in Pakistan, or do you think that line has been crossed already?
Well, I feel that some good sense should prevail on them, and they have seen, like you had already mentioned, that if they were the testing rounds, generally, whenever the artillery and all is firing, they always fire a test round just to fathom the preparedness of the defenses or the enemy. So if they are trying to fathom the defense and preparedness of India, I think they have done it enough. So in the best interest of Pakistan, in the best interest of people, they should, stop bombarding our border areas, villages, and we should not escalate this. Should it get escalated? Because India is now there for an all-out war. But India does not want to escalate it. India wants a peaceful resolution of this. India only wants that Pakistan should participate and discourage all these terrorist activities, more so in the backdrop of what they are facing every day. They are being hammered from Balochistan, they are being fired, and their army is degraded, and from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Sindh is boiling. So they should understand that what kind of situation they are in, and the war is not going to get them anything. So it is high time that they should de-escalate and request India to have talks and hand over these terrorists, whosoever is involved in Pahalgam or the previous incident. So
let me bring it. Yes, please.
Yeah, what I feel is that you see, war is not in favor of either country.
Yes.
India is on a progressive trajectory. India would not like to get involved with a rogue state like Pakistan and waste its time, because we are looking for a superpower status in the years to come. We are a regional power, and we are the fifth largest economy.
We're getting some breaking updates now. The uncertainty has ended. The first confirmation from the BCCI and the IPL has come in that they have decided to suspend the ongoing IPL season for 1 week. This is not a total suspension as had happened once in the past, but only for 1 week. I guess they're taking a wait and watch approach, so that once the situation becomes clearer as far as what's happening between India and Pakistan, how this situation moves forward, whether it escalates or de-escalates from here, the board has taken a call to suspend the ongoing IPL season for 1 week only. Remember, we had brought to you earlier that the IPL Governing Council was speaking to franchises who are the major stakeholder and have most to lose if the suspension was to be ordered, that they were considering the suspension of the season. So what it seems is that they have come to a conclusion that for now, they will only suspend it for 1 week, which can also be seen as a postponement, will only suspend it for 1 week and then see if a reschedule can be worked out. If the situation doesn't improve from there, of course, the future of the IPL remaining season will be in danger. But for now, the BCCI is saying that we're going to suspend it for 1 week. Let the nerves calm down. Let the situation become clearer. Of course, the logistics and the security situation that IPL brings with it, involving multiple venues, is something that is always a concern. Particularly in a situation like that, you've got stadiums in Jaipur, you've got stadiums in Ahmedabad, you've got stadiums in Dharamshala. These are close to the western border. So certainly things have to be worked out. In the past, under COVID concerns, the season of the IPL was suspended once, and then it was completed outside of India, but after many months. In the past, what has also happened as far as IPL schedule is concerned, that instead of having a full-fledged roster of venues, only limited venues have been used. This was again in context of COVID. There were bubbles, etc., that the IPL Governing Council and BCCI had tried. They didn't work, and when the situation went out of hand, the season was suspended. And it was completed later after 5 months or so in October in UAE, etc. But this time around, the BCCI is not suspending the entire remaining season. They're waiting only for 1 week. They're going to wait and see how the situation goes, because from India, the message has been very clear that they don't want to escalate the situation with Pakistan. You know, we went in, we are one and done, but Pakistan is continuing to provoke India with all kinds of activity across the international border as well. There's been loss of civilian life on the Indian side in Jammu and Kashmir because of artillery shelling. And BCCI has taken a view, and this is what Arun Dhumal, who was the IPL Governing Council chairman, also told me earlier, that this is more about standing with the country. We can't be seen as playing cricket when our soldiers are almost at the brink of war. All right, so updates coming in as far as the BCCI is concerned. More scheduling updates, venues of the tournament will be announced in due course, is what the BCCI statement is saying, after a comprehensive assessment of the situation in consultation with relevant authorities and stakeholders. So it could be, it is in the realm of possibility that once it does resume, it could be a curtailed version of the IPL. They have done this in the past, where they have restricted it to a certain number of venues. Maybe those are venues that are away from the western border and therefore have less concerns, but we'll wait and see. My colleague Shireen is also joining us with more on this. So a wait and watch approach by the BCCI and the IPL Governing Council so far, a suspension or a postponement, but only for 1 week.
That's right, Shivani. This is the decision that has been taken by the BCCI as far as the entire series is concerned. They have in fact been saying that depending on the situation, whenever the situation is stable and it gets improved, then they will resume. But as of now, they have officially said that they are going to in fact decided to suspend the remainder of the ongoing Tata IPL 2025 with immediate effect for the week, and further updates regarding the new schedule and the venue of the tournament will be announced in.
निर्णय लिया है कि आईपीएल को अभी फिलहाल 1 सप्ताह के लिए स्थगित किया गया है। उसके बाद जो स्थिति है उसका जायजा लेके सरकार से विचार विमर्श करके जो हमारे स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, फ्रेंचाइजी और ब्रॉडकास्टर, इन सबसे बात करके नए शेड्यूल की घोषणा की जाएगी। मौजूदा परिस्थिति में हमने ये तय किया है कि अभी जो स्थिति है उसको देखते हुए इसको जो है निलंबित कर दिया जाए। उसी दृष्टि से इसको निलंबित किया गया है। और जहाँ तक सुरक्षा की बात है तो हमें भारतीय सेना पे गर्व है और बीसीसीआई पूरी तरह से दृढ़ता के साथ सरकार और सेना के साथ खड़ी हुई है और हमारा पूर्ण समर्थन है उनको। और जिस तरह से हमारी सेनाओं ने जो वीरता का परिचय दिया है, जिस तरह से हमारी सेनाओं ने मुकाबला करके परास्त लोगों को किया है, तो हम पूरी तरह से उसका समर्थन करते हैं और उसके साथ हैं। जहाँ तक नई डेट्स उन सबका सवाल है तो हम कंसल्ट करेंगे सबसे और नई डेट्स की घोषणा उस दृष्टि से करेंगे। हम धन्यवाद करना चाहते हैं हमारे ब्रॉडकास्टर का, जियो टीवी का, और दूसरा जो है ये टाटा आईपीएल जो टाटा स्पॉन्सर है, और बाकी हमारे जो फैंस हैं सबका, कि उन्होंने जो है ऐसे मौके पे इस मामले में अपना हमारा साथ दिया, क्योंकि फ्रेंचाइजी वगैरह ने भी तमाम चिंताएं प्रकट की थी खिलाड़ियों को लेके, तो इन सबको ध्यान में रख के निर्णय लिया गया है।
सर, रीशेड्यूलिंग होगा, रीवर्क होगा, वेन्यू क्या इंडिया ही रहने वाला है कि एक अलग जोन, या ऐसी पॉसिबिलिटीज़ भी है कि बीसीसीआई एक्सप्लोर करेगा आईपीएल को देश से बाहर ले जाने के लिए?
नहीं, देखिए अभी
More decisions on the venues and what the shape and form the IPL remainder season will take will be decided over this next week. A moratorium of sorts for 1 week on the IPL, but they will review the situation as it goes. Time for me to take your leave. News and updates will continue on CNN News 18 after a very short break.
अब आया असली
Made one more threat against India. He has gone on to say, if no talks, then guns. This is what Khwaja Asif has said. He's been at the forefront of making inflammatory statements against India, but the Indian intelligence agencies see this only as a sign of desperation. It also depends on what side of the bed he wakes up in the morning, because some days he talks about stopping the escalation where it is, that if India stops, we will stop. Then another day he wakes up and threatens India with nuclear weapons. This is the same man who has, of course, gone on international media to accept that Pakistan was doing the dirty job of the US and the West for 30 years when it was funding, training and harboring terror groups inside its territory. My colleague Anand is also joining us to break this down further for us. How seriously are we to take Khwaja Asif?
Well, Bharat is not taking Khwaja Asif seriously because he's highly discredited himself by the comments that he's made. But there is a picture behind the picture. Khwaja Asif is worried about his political consistency, constituency, that is Sialkot. Sialkot has undergone some heavy pummeling and punishment with the air defense systems, reportedly also totally damaged because of Bharat's counter reaction to Pakistan's military strikes. What one needs to listen carefully when we listen to Khwaja Asif speak is, he says that we cannot afford to carry this on for long. He's trying to put words and project it in a way that Pakistan is at a position of strength, but in that line itself emerges Pakistan's vulnerability. Pakistan does not have the faculty, the funds, nor does it have the fortitude to be able to continue an intense engagement with Bharat. And that is something that is coming through from Khwaja Asif and his nervousness. So much so that he is contradicting himself within 12 hours of his interviews between one media platform to another. So that is the reason why, because the Pakistanis don't know what's hit them. The other part is that being the defense minister of Pakistan, he's actually come across as clueless and quite literally kept in the dark by the military establishment. And that itself is there for us. So somewhere from the Indian think tank and the Indian government, the more Khwaja Asif speaks, the better for Bharat, because the more Pakistan gets exposed globally.
Absolutely. Anand, we're getting an excerpt of his latest statement, I believe. Let's just play that out for our viewers.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की गवर्नमेंट की, और वो नहीं सुनते, तो फिर क्या अगली बात, अगर टेबल पे बात नहीं होती, तो क्या अगली बात बंदूक पे होगी, बंदूक के जरिए होगी?
जी बिल्कुल, that is the only option left to us.
दिनों में पाकिस्तान को फैसला करना होगा, घंटों में करना होगा, और वी स्टिल हैव द लग्जरी कि अच्छा एक दो हफ्ते और देख लेते हैं चीजें बने.
We do not have the luxury of waiting for days. मैंने plural इस्तेमाल किया. We do not have the luxury to wait. This patience will cost us. So we have to stop them right now in the tracks. कि ये चीज जो है एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है. ये हमने 2-3 दिन देख लिया है कि डी एस्केलेशन की पॉसिबिलिटीज की जो उम्मीद लगाई थी, लेकिन ये डी एस्केलेट नहीं हो रहा. तो पाकिस्तान इज टेकिंग थिंग्स a bit a notch up now or further.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की.
All right, there you heard it. A bit of a leading question there, but the defense minister certainly approving what was asked, that if there are no direct talks, then there will be guns. In other ways, he's saying that Pakistan will lose its patience and escalate further, because he's painting it out to be that India is not de-escalating, but India has given them a route off this escalation ladder at every step. Thrice now. After the Pahalgam attack, India conducted very surgical strikes on terror camps, but Pakistan retaliated. Then we hit back only in retaliation, in proportion, but they tried their misadventure again last night. Air Marshal B.K. Pandey and Brigadier Vinod Datta both continue to be with us. Thank you for your patience, gentlemen. Brigadier Vinod Datta, how do you see this bravado from the Pakistani establishment? I mean, they've not won a single war with India. They possibly cannot sustain themselves in a conventional war with India even today, but the bravado is endless.
Yeah, I agree with you because this kind of pseudo confidence which they have, the kind of trust they have on false claims, the kind of destiny they have with having tall claims like even 65 and 71 war. 65, our Honorable Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri ji had already said कि अयूब खान साहब आपको आने की जहमत नहीं है. When they were claiming that we have reached Ambala, he says we will come and look you up in Lahore, and we did the same thing. 71 also it was repeated. they are living in a fool's paradise. You see, they should know that what is their reality. They don't have logistic stamina as far as defense is concerned. They don't have a good financial health. They don't have a good, rapport with the international community. They have been going with a begging bowl everywhere. And you see, warfare these days, it's not, rhetoric or jingoism by which you can win. They have indulged in that. But last night we have seen, you see, they could not even penetrate our air defense wall.
Yes.
Leave aside, taking on India. And India retaliated so hard. And now, just because they have to make some kind of...
Namaste, Jai Hind, and thank you for staying with us here at CNN News 18. The live and rolling coverage around Operation Sindoor. It's not over yet. Bharat has made its demands very, very clear. Bharat wants Pakistan to back off terror completely. And if it is serious, it needs to cuff up some of the terror akas and hand them over to Bharat. Tala Saeed, Hafiz Saeed, Hafiz Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, these are names that we want. Masood Azhar, Rauf Azhar. So Jaish, Lashkar, Sarganas or the Akas are the names that Bharat wants. Those are all part of India's most wanted list. And this is the demand somewhere that Bharat is going to make. Even as the air defense systems and our defense mechanisms prevail against Pakistan's offensives, their projectiles and missiles. The government neutralizing an air defense system at Lahore, and also now reports emerge that there are multiple locations where Pakistan has suffered serious reversals. There are also pictures and proof that how Bharat continues to target only the terror infrastructure and military installations, contrary to what the Pakistanis have been doing, trying to target religious institutions like Gurudwaras in Poonch, in Amritsar, and also attacking civilian locations. Now, this is the big news that's coming through and further confirmation. Exclusive pictures here on CNN News 18 show that Bharat has been targeting only military targets along the line of control. This is around the Samba sector, and these are pictures from this morning. Pakistan hitting civilians, and here in these pictures, those are military posts of the Pakistan Army that have been targeted by the Indian Armed Forces guns, the artillery guns. Compared to the pictures coming in from Poonch, from Mendar, from Akhnur, from Jammu, from Rajouri, where from Uri, where civilian establishments have been targeted by the Pakistani guns. Even today, we have lost an old lady in Uri to Pakistani mortar and shelling. About 5 to 7 more individuals have been injured because of the mortar and shelling. Homes of the poor, homes of the middle class, homes of common people have been damaged by Pakistani guns. But this is what Bharat is doing. And hope the world is watching a CNN News 18 exclusive, these pictures where Pakistan attacks civilians, whereas Bharat is targeting the military installations now. This is also Jawabi Karwai to Pakistan's attempt at targeting military installations across 15 locations along our western border. These are the pictures. Have a look at these pictures. And here are the Pakistani posts. So these are Pakistani military posts which have been attacked and demolished and pummeled, razed to rubble, yes, but this is again response, retaliatory measures taken by the Indian Armed Forces, by our artillery guns, where it's again pinpoint precision. So be it be the terror infrastructure, which was Jawabi Karwai or avenging the Pahalgam massacre, or the military posts along the LOC being attacked. This is again retaliation for Pakistan's unbridled and unhinged aggression along the line of control, where it's targeted civilians. In Poonch, it razed down a Gurudwara. It's killed 4 Granthis among about 15 people who died. In fact, that death toll going up to 20 now, and more than 50 people who are injured and that to civilians. Here in this case, there are no civilians. These are the posts from there. These guns were blazing and they have been razed to rubble. And this is proof now. Proof to the Pakistanis, proof to General Asim Munir and his ilk, proof to the world that Bharat is targeting only military installations now. Before this, it was the terror infrastructure which was on our radar, where again, here at CNN News 18, we've told you we've neutralized more than 150 terrorists. Tejinder Sodhi joining us with more. So Tejinder, again, confirmation that the artillery of the Indian Armed Forces are targeting only Pakistani military posts, even along the LOC.
Indeed, Anand, this is the difference between the professional Indian Army and the rogue army of Pakistan. The rogue army of Pakistan has been from day one targeting the civilian population. We saw the visuals coming from Poonch, wherein the Pakistan army targeted a gurdwara, a temple, a mosque, killing innocent civilians. But these visuals clearly show how the professionalism of the Indian Army is at work. The Indian Army, being a professional army, is only targeting the military installations of the Pakistan Army from where they are targeting the Indian civilians. So in these visuals, they clearly show how the Pakistani bunkers are being decimated, razed to ground with the precision striking by the ATGMs and the artillery shells of the Indian Army. Indian Army has clearly shown its capabilities, its capacities, that we can hit anywhere inside Pakistan. We proved our mettle during Operation Sindoor, wherein we targeted only the terror infrastructure, terror camps deep inside Pakistan. And now these visuals have surfaced wherein we are targeting the Pakistani bunkers, Pakistani positions from where they are targeting the civilian population.
I think we can even Tejinder, as this visual plays out again, this is playing out in a loop. You will see the projectile or the mortar shell coming from here and attacking the bunker or the Pakistan military post here. You will see this appear from here, and that's why the visual is also from this side, because this is the Indian side. There you go. That's the projectile, and it comes and it targets pinpoint the military posts. There you go. That's it. And that's where this post from where firing was happening, or the bunkers were, from where the artillery shelling was happening by the Pakistan military, that's been decimated. These guns have been silent, and there many posts like this along the line of control that have suffered severe damage. Pakistan has received a pummeling that it was not expecting. And it's also been shocked by the way the airspace along the western border has been defended. Tejinder, one of the aspects that many locals along the line of control are saying is that if their guns are blazing at us, we also want them punished. But Bharat showing immense amount of restraint. In the past, you've covered this very often. In the past, the Indian guns would also, or the artillery would also blaze, and there would be a huge amount of losses or reversals even to the civilian population on the other side because of Pakistan's machinations and their rogue act. But this time around, despite the provocation, Bharat has exercised immense amount of restraint.
Indeed, Anand, you see, Pakistan has been using its people, its population, especially in the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, as human shield, as cannon fodder. Pakistan wants those people to die so that it can go to global community to blame Indian Army and say, see, Indian Army is targeting civilians, our civilians are being targeted. So this is what Pakistan wants. Pakistan wants that civilians in POK should get killed in the Indian fire. But Indian Army, as I mentioned, Anand, being a professional army, makes it sure that civilians on the other side of the line of control, because they too are Kashmiris. Right. India, we maintain that Pakistan occupied Kashmir is our integral part, which has been illegally occupied by Pakistan. So they are our people. Indian Army makes it sure whenever they retaliate that only the rogue Pakistan Army, which targets the civilian, is targeted, and their bunkers, their men destroyed. Yes,
Right, Tejinder very rightly said, like Ambassador Vinay Mohan Kawatra told CNN last evening that it's not Indian administered Kashmir, it is Jammu Kashmir. The only thing that needs to be resolved is the portion that is occupied by Pakistan, that also needs to be fully integrated back into Jammu Kashmir and into India. So that's the position, that's the stated position, and that's the truth in this case. Just quickly moving on, even as we get you these pictures, we're moving on to get you more news. The Directorate of Civil Defence will be testing air raid sirens installed in central Delhi in a short while from now. It should happen around 3:30 p.m. this afternoon. And very clearly, denizens of Delhi, no need to panic. This is an exercise. Just hear the siren, understand the sound, recall, recollect, because thereafter, through the night tonight or in the near future, if it goes again, then one knows that these sirens are working because we need to take precaution. But right now at 3:30 p.m., it's going to be an exercise. Ananya Bhatnagar now joins us with more details. Ananya, any particular reason why the sirens are going off or they're being tested now today at 3:30? Because there was not a mock drill planned, but why is this being done now?
Well, the Delhi.
Well, I think he's standing right where the sirens were, and they've just started going off. We also see a Delhi minister there, standing very close as the sirens are being tested. So we'll try and go across to Ananya and see if he's there. We can hear some noise. We'll try and go to Ananya in a bit. So clearly, the government of Delhi also involved in this testing, and that's the reason why we have Parvesh Verma standing there, overseeing the preparations. We'll try and go to Ananya. He was standing right at the bottom of these stairs where the siren is that's being tested in central Delhi. We'll try and get Ananya on the phone line because looks like the sirens are being warmed up. Yeah. Let's try and see if we have a ground report or a walkthrough that he has sent in just a short while ago before we get Ananya on the phone line. You see the pictures there, and that's the siren that's going to go off, and it's going to be quite loud, and it will send the alarm or the siren all across central Delhi. So the denizens or the residents of central Delhi will be able to hear it. We'll try and understand why central Delhi, why today, why this testing is happening. Parvesh Verma is also there. We'll see if he also speaks to the waiting media after the testing of the siren. This is supposed to happen at 3:30 p.m. this afternoon, and people have been urged not to worry, just to hear the sound, be cognizant that the siren is tested and it is working. But there needs to be no evasive action or reaction that needs to be shown to this siren being blown at 3:30 p.m. or going off at 3:30 p.m. today. So that's the space. These are pictures from a short while ago. There are a lot of people who are standing there to see what happens when the siren goes. Ananya has also sent us a ground report. Let's have a look at it.
Sounds, you can hear these sounds. As far as the alarms are here, these are the sirens that will be blown. When any kind of attack actually happens, there's no need to panic. This is just for a testing that these sirens are being blown. You can see Parvesh Verma, who is in fact the minister in the Delhi government, here in order to test these sirens that have been there. These are alert sirens that are in fact they're in the national capital in order to sound people as far as any kind of exigency is concerned, or any kind of attack if it all happens in New Delhi. These would be the sirens which would alert the people. This is, remember, viewers, there is no need to panic. These are the sirens that are there to alert you. These are just simple sirens at this particular point in time. These are only for testing purposes at this particular point of time that they are there. In fact, what is very, very clear at this particular point in time is that India is definitely prepared. Bharat is actually prepared for any kind of a retaliation or attack that comes in from Pakistan. And very categorically at this particular point of time, these are the testing phase of these sirens which are being blown in order to test them in order to see whether they would work at a time when there is some kind of some kind of a attack or some kind of retaliation that comes in international factor. And these are the sirens that the sound people to actually go inside their homes and to carry out proper drills as far as saving themselves from any kind of attack is concerned. The level one is when this is whenever the sirens are put on, you have to move to a safer place. If it all is night, you have to completely black out your house, and then you should proceed to a safer location if it's all some kind of unfortunate incident happens. These are the sirens that will alert you.
Right. Right. So that's what's going to happen at 3:30 in central Delhi. In about 2 hours and 15 minutes, there is going to be the MEA briefing that is expected. So at about 5:30 p.m., again, a detailed MEA briefing is expected. Right now, let's go back to these pictures. This is again proof that Bharat is showing immense amount of restraint despite the brazen provocation by the Pakistanis. This is the pictures that's been accessed exclusively here at CNN News 18 of a post in the Samba sector that's been decimated. This is a Pakistani post decimated by the Indian artillery fire, and you can see the projectile coming there. There you go, and there you go. We've circled that out, and then it just decimates that bunker from where the Pakistanis, it's their post or their bunker. From there, there's been incessant amount of firing in that region, and also in Uri and in Punch. So those areas where civilians were targeted brazenly by Pakistani guns, Bharat exercising a huge amount of restraint where it continues to be only targeting the military posts. Colonel Ajay Dogra is with us, Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman also with us. Jai Hind and Namaste. Thank you very, very much. How much of restraint does it take? Because we've seen ceasefire violations in the past where it used to be about who's got more fire and more power. And if there are civilians affected here, there would be civilians affected on the other side. But this time around, it seems to be that you target military posts, I'll target military posts. But my intent is that it's a war on terror. It's not a war with the people of Pakistan or even with the military of Pakistan. It's General Asim Munir and his ilk who are turning it into or escalating or going up the escalation ladder. Colonel Ajay Dogra, your thoughts?
Hi, Anand. Yes, you are completely right. Last 20 years, I have been seeing when I was a diplomat with the UN also, and when I was posted on these LOC highs, we never targeted their civilians. This has been rogue state. Whenever they fall into some abyss, they try to get onto the civilians and target them. However, we have shown immense restraint by just targeting their infrastructure, the terrorist infrastructure, and that has been our line throughout our history. However, whenever they fall back, they have to create a panic. They have to create something to show to their public opinion, and that's the way they try to target civilians. They are also trying to create communal disharmony. So they are trying to target Sikhs. They are trying to create religious dissemination, religious differences amongst us. So that's what the rogue state has been doing, and they are getting a befitting reply from our side.
Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman, your thoughts, and let's also understand how did this air defense system work? They have tried to target at least 15 locations along the western border. Now, we are given to understand that all of the loitering munitions has been destroyed by the Army and the Air Force military air defense systems. But can this be seen as probing munitions that were sent or probing, exercise by the Pakistan military? And if it was indeed a probing exercise, will it be across 15 different locations? Because we are given to understand here, Manoj Kumar Gupta, as a Group Editor, Security Affairs and Investigations, has got from reliable sources that most of these drones or projectiles that were sent were not very heavily weaponized, or they did not carry as much of munition as would be expected given the spread of the exercise. So, Wing Commander, your thoughts first, and then Colonel Dogra.
See, definitely it was a probing exercise, but let's not forget, actions speak louder than words. What happened, what had been happening since yesterday morning till late afternoon yesterday was these probing and prodding kind of attacks through drones, projectiles coming across, trying to neutralize a few of our air defenses, and to see and assess their own capability, and also to get a look into the stretch of our capabilities on our side. But I think it's after what happened towards the beginning of the evening hours thereafter, and the way the Indian forces, our forces, have gone after specific targets there, and the way the kind of liberty that our projectiles found while landing into every single prominent town that we know of in Pakistan provides us ample proof that the superiority, the comparative superiority of our air defense assets vis-a-vis the Porkies is well established. What we'll that we are at war is was already proven yesterday, and now what I see it as a stage by stage escalation to meet the desired end state, that is to set everything in order in our favor. What by my means of assessment, I feel the desired end state would be a permanent solution to this lingering problem of terrorism, which emanates from the epicenter, that is Pakistan, and which was very clearly stated at the first public rally being addressed by the Prime Minister after the Pahalgam attack. So we will too. Yeah, and to achieve that, let me say, to achieve that, I think we are seeing the air action. We have seen the air action already. The naval action has started. They have already committed officially that they are in exercise till the 12th of May. What is to follow, by my perception and experience, is the movement of ground forces. Ground forces, specifically the army, to locations on the border or the LOC, to places which we had compromised on earlier. Remember, Haji Pir Pass on the Pir Panjar range, which we gave it up on the negotiating tables. The lines are going to be redrawn so that we gain physical as well as territorial terrain superiority over this foolish enemy on our western front, and find a permanent solution thereafter. I think the operations are going to continue till such time, and rightly so.
Well, but that is going to happen as Group Captain R.K. Narang also joins us. Group Captain Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman believes that this is steadily going up the escalatory ladder. But Bharat has also said that we will go as far as the Pakistanis do. So it's in Pakistan's interest to back off, but because the war is against terror. So if Pakistan says, all right, we're going to silence our guns, silence our movement, not going to do anything now, then what happens next? Because I think somewhere Bharat has very clearly said, we want those terrorists, we want those terror akas cuffed up. Otherwise, this continues. So how do you see this shaping up? The other part, that the Pakistanis have had reversals. Air defense systems, multiple places. They attacked 15 locations. Were they probing? Were the drones just the probe? Then the missiles that followed were the actual attack, and all of it negated. How do you read what happened last night? And we've also attacked about 14 locations, of which 12 there has been success. That's what we are given to understand. We're waiting for the MEA and the joint briefing with the defense teams at 5:30 for them to confirm. But this is what we are given to understand. Your understanding now. Your thoughts?
See, what we need to understand is Pakistan has been, following a low-cost policy. Even today, when you look at it, they have used missiles, they have used drones, they have used artillery guns and terrorists. Now, this is a typical approach, whereas India has initially, right from beginning, as has been said and again, that our focus is on, ending terrorism, and thereafter we have not taken our Indian, Pakistani armed forces or the civilians. And every, Indian government, Indian defense forces have been using the right to respond. And scope, size, position is decided by India the way Pakistanis have been doing it. In fact, after we carried out first attack, we said we are following a non-escalatory. These were non-escalatory, attacks. What we need to understand is there are 4 key issues which have emerged out in these, whatever is happening there. First, aerial technologies prominence has appeared. when India struck Pakistan without losing anybody on real or to the any loss to the human life, this ensured that aerial technologies can be used. When I say aerial technologies, missiles, drones, and any even manned aircraft, not crossing the border, but yes, manned aircraft. Now, this was earlier a taboo. You must understand which mindset. We have crossed a psychological mindset to hit at the heart of terrorism and not being scared of using our aerial asset, which was considered to escalatory to the level of nuclear. So that has been proven. The second part which has emerged is synergy between the tri-services. There
Right.
is no gap between the Army, Air Force, Navy, and they are working together in the tandem and in a most professional manner. There are no emotions. It is only what is required for the country. The third thing which has clearly emerged is Atmanirbharta and indigenous innovation.
Right.
Now, when you come to the drone technologies, our Atmanirbharta indigenous innovation is paying the dividends. Now, it is paying the dividends in two means.
Right.
One, whether we are able to defend. And if you look at defend, we have our indigenous radar developed by Bharat Electronics Limited. We have indigenous missiles like Akash, while we have international collaboration through medium range missiles and S-400.
Right.
The thirdly, we have been able to get a counter drone system D4 developed by DRDO, which is drone detect, deter, and destroy. Now that system is a multi-sensor system which has got radar, electro-optic systems, radar jammers, and lasers. Now this capability we need to upgrade it if we have to do it.
Right.
Because drone war will not end. We will have to, and I think this is an excellent opportunity for indigenous developers to reevaluate where we have reached, what we need to do further, upgrade it, and build a very, very robust air defense capability. The
Right.
second major capability which Atmanirbharta has given is our capability to have unmanned capabilities which can really go and detect and destroy with a pinpoint accuracy.
Correct.
Here I would like to highlight three major initiatives. One, technologies being developed by the defense R&D and public sector entities.
Ji.
The second is by Indian Air Force, which started Meher Baba Swarm competition. Remember last night,
Yes.
Pakistani drones came in swarms, and India has not responded by launching swarms. We have been using loitering drones. Now, remember, people are talking about loitering drones, supplied by Herop and others. But we must not forget they are Indian innovators. They have developed indigenous
Yeah.
loitering drones like Nagastra, AL-50, and there are others. So indigenous capability is being sparingly used. Swarms have not been used because we don't want to escalate. Another thing which probably we will be having is further evaluation, and we have to decide when and where we want to destroy. I will talk later when we talk about Pakistan's capability in terms of drone capability.
The larger question, Colonel Dogra, is that is Pakistan, was it only probing, or did it first probe and then it tried to attack and it got defeated there and it got pummeled? How would you read that? And what is expected tonight? Many are saying that even tonight there will be some activity. The Pakistanis are silent now through the day, but evening they will try something. There is a reason why there are alerts given to ports, because there are reports that the Karachi port has suffered some damage, although the Pakistanis have issued a denial and then it's come back again as a confirmation from Karachi port. So we don't know what's happening. We're waiting for the official briefing to see if the government of India makes any claims about the damage that's been caused. But how are you seeing this going up? Do you see this going up the escalation ladder, or is there pressure on Asim Munir to back off? Enough pressure already?
Okay, I'll take your pointed questions. Firstly, you asked about how this air defense system works on the line of control or international boundary. It works on the system of, or a backbone of, integrated air command and control system, wherein all the radar, ground stations of Air Force, Army, and other services are combined. They give a refined picture. We call it as the refined air support picture. That picture comes, then the complete network-centric warfare is controlled there. The networks, communications are linked. So the moment any aircraft takes on from Pakistani territory or any of those aerial assets, it starts coming onto our radars. AVACs are there, radars are there, and that picture is passed on to the various weapon systems, various control centers, and various decision makers. Once the decision is taken, then we start engaging from the lowest or the nearest weapon to the highest weapon. So you named something like the drones they came. They were very cheap drones. So there's also cost effectiveness that they see. Like each missile, what we are firing, it's in the crores of the rupees. If we are looking of S-400, they are very costly missiles. Even if the other missiles are there, Igla missile, shoulder file missiles, these are costly. However, these drones, you can easily take it for 10 to 20,000 rupees. So they put up small ammunitions and initially they try to probe the defenses. That's correctly. They try to make sure that our defenses are firstly, we expand our missiles. And then there are the second things, they come back with the larger missiles or the larger weapons on that. But however, we are also prepared. We start with the nearest weapons, say maybe 23 then L-70 and other things, they go on. And that's the way that we move on. Coming on to the question of escalation, how we see that, I don't think so that Pakistan has got that much appetite or international standing that it can take this hostilities or these hostilities too far further. Sooner or the later, they'll have to back down. Otherwise, they know the might of Indian army. The Pakistan will be divided and they cannot take that risk. So I feel that they should be backing down in a day or so.
So from 23 to the L-70, which is a 40 gun, anti-aircraft gun, it's modernized with radar. Then there is Pehora, some of the other systems also that have come into use. It's an integrated system that has come through as an air defense system. Like you said, short, medium, long, and in terms of the scale of the projectile, we'd also go up the escalation ladder with respect to the defense system. But this is testing a huge expanse of the western border. So, Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman, is because Bharat targeted from Muzaffarabad to Bahawalpur, is that the reason why Pakistan saying, I will also show you equal capability? I may send you 100 rupees ka saman, but I'll still send it across a spread of at least 3,000 kilometers.
See, if they want to meet India eye for an eye, then they are living in a fool's paradise. Our capabilities, our appetite, our reserves, the kind of volumes that we can inflict on them is overwhelming. That is why I am of the opinion, and if the broad smile on the faces of Raksha Mantri and the CDS in today's meeting, morning meeting, is anything to go by, then the things are moving just as the script was meant to be. The poppies are caught in their own trap, and here it is going to be scaled up and up, going step by step.
Right.
What we must remember is we must firmly keep the foot on the pedal and continue to keep it there persistently till we overwhelm these Pakis by sheer volume and persistence, till they eventually run out of gunpowder and make them bite the dust. This is what the difference between the Pakis, looking at their economic situation right now, their how they have been deserted and desolate without any international support, barring the Turkish Erdogan. So what I mean to say is the powers that be and the leadership that we have, they have it very well in mind that then we need to make amends for the shortcomings, wherein for the occasions earlier, wherein we left the work undone for some reason or the other. Once, sometimes in 65, it might have been international pressure. In 71, we couldn't even take back our own POWs while having handed over theirs to the numbers to the tune of 93,000. And on even in 99, when we towards the end of the operations, when the Indian Army was in a hot pursuit, we were told to hold. See, there had been countless occasions earlier when we now, in retrospect, feel that we just fell short, despite having incurred so much of loss of life of our brave hearts. I am sure the government of India has included those learnings into our operations this time, and we are going to take it to its justifiable end.
Do we have that intent this time around to stay on this hot pursuit and not close Operation Sindoor because somebody else asks us to, but because we are convinced this is the right time to close, because it's a war on terror? So, because with this dispensation also, we've just got an update. We'll do this update and then come back to you, Group Captain Narang. The Health Ministry sources have informed that all states and union territories have been asked to cancel the leaves of all health workers in their respective states. Monitoring will be done from the Delhi control room about the preparedness, including the stock of medicines. There was a meeting also with the Pharma Secretary and senior officials regarding the stock of medicines. So clearly, Bharat is also not leaving any stone unturned. Everybody needs to be in a state of readiness, and there is like a COVID-like preparation that is being unleashed by the government, where months before the epidemic actually landed into Bharat, there was a certain level of preparedness and a certain level of readiness that was kept. Here, days ahead of a possible escalation and a near state of a far more intense level of conflict, there is ensuring that all angles are covered. Civilians are rendered safe. There is a certain level of mock drills. Sirens will be at the ready. Blood donation camps have started to be organized, and now stock of medicines. So at any point, there should be enough and more stock of medicines for at least a month or 60 days, if not more. We'll try and get that from Sherin. This is also because if there is a shutting down of airspace, if there is sea lines or ports are blocked for a small period of time, even if required, and if it necessitates thus, there should be enough and more across districts. Is that the thought process here? That the supply lines are not disrupted?
Absolutely. That is one of course, the thinking that has gone into this particular meeting that was conducted by the Union Minister, Health Minister J.P. Nadda, where this was in fact one of the issues that as far as the stock of the medicines are concerned, that is of utmost importance, especially for the surgical surgeries as well as any of elective operations that needs to be done. All those medicines need to be in stock. Apart from that, blood is something that needs to be in stock as well. Blood banks are all being informed that they need to keep adequate amount of blood of all groups available. Apart from that, the health workers have in fact been, this is going to be something that will be conveyed to all the health secretaries of the state, that the health workers leave needs to be cancelled because if a situation is escalated to another level, then it becomes utmost important that the health workers are there in the front line, and that is why this particular meeting was conducted. Apart from that, the pharmacy secretary was also present to look into the stock of the medicines as well. So full preparedness is something that is being looked into by the health minister at this point.
Well, thank you for that update, Sherin. Let's take it back. So there is a certain level of preparedness and a readiness for escalation. Wing Commander Matiman said that he sees this escalating, going up the escalation ladder in the days to come, and Bharat is prepared. Bharat is reading the signs ably, at least those who are responsible for the Suraksha and also for the Raksha of the intent of Bharat. All of them are aware of what's going on. But Group Captain Narang, two aspects. One is, do we have the intent to continue and stay on with the hot pursuit till our objectives are met? And there would be primary objective, secondary objective, and of course the incidental objectives which are met. That's one. The second part is there is somebody in the neighborhood who's quietly watching. And that's the CCP, that's the PLA. They are quietly watching what's going on. When should that come, or is that going to become a factor? Because the Americans right now have said, we don't want, unless it goes up to a serious escalation where it could potentially be that two nuclear nations may be urged towards or inclined towards pressing the nuclear button, we are not going to get involved. But we want de-escalation. That's what but it's between the two of you. So we are not getting in. Well, the Chinese have not said that.
Yeah, I think we need to understand what is motivating Pakistan to continue with what it is continuing. What we must understand is it's been getting some sort of tacit support from 3-4 players, which probably directly or indirectly are making it convenient for him to continue. One is he has a drone industry which is a low cost option. He gets it from Turkey, which has provided Akinci drones. Falco drones he manufactures in license from Italy. Then they have indigenous drones like Shahpur and Ukab. Then there are small drone manufacturers within Pakistan which manufacture small drones and the target drones. Now those are the ones which have a robust supply chain from China. And remember, China played a major role in Ukraine-Russia war, where Ukrainian vice premier almost went on social media with his tweet saying that you are killing our people. So the silent hand of China will be a critical aspect, even if it is not involved. And that is what we will have to cater to it.
But Group Captain Narang, the Russians had money to pay. The Pakistanis are beggars. They'll ask the Chinese, don't not just give us your planes, give us your bombs, give us everything, but also give us more money. That's how they are. So there is a difference there, and it's an endless, bottomless bucket. The Chinese have realized that. They've already sunk in about $60 billion and still counting.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think this is a low cost option, and secondly, they have their indigenous industry, which probably is there. But I'm sure it is going to take strain on it. And what they need to understand is, if they continue like this, and if India starts exercising its drone capabilities, I think it will have a significant effect on it. In the long term, while we know it will have a crippling effect on Pakistan, we should not let our guard down and keep improving our capabilities, because
There is another aspect, and it was very smartly pointed out by a viewer, that we should not show all of our hand even when we deal with Pakistan, because the CCP are watching. They will want to see what all capabilities Bharat has built, so that in future, if there is a confrontation, and there will be one, उनकी नियत है वो they play the long game, waiting game, और जब वो घुसेंगे they will try and see कि इनकी तैयारी कितनी है. So we should not expose all of our hands and everything, our capabilities, even in this this one interaction with the Pakistanis. That is something which perhaps those who are the thinking minds will be aware of, that वो ये भी देख रहा होगा कि ये लोग क्या क्या कर रहे हैं, इनकी तैयारी कितनी है, तो मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा next time के लिए. Just pausing for a bit in this conversation, we got exclusive pictures of Jammu and Kashmir LG Manoj Sinha ji interacting with Jawans of the Indian Armed Forces and encouraging them, trying to understand from them what their morale is. This is in Uri, if I'm not wrong. We'll try and see. Yeah, this is in Uri. Let's listen into that interaction.
Punjab. How is yours? How is yours? Very good. Punjab. How is yours? How is yours? Very good. Punjab.
How's the Josh? Hi sir is what, and interacting with the soldiers, the bravehearts there along the line of control. It's the civilians who've had a bit of a pounding there in Uri, Tangdar. We've got ex-servicemen who have served in that region. They would understand. Colonel Dogra, that's not an easy area, and those are features, or those are places where Bharat is at a disadvantage, because the enemy sits on the heights. Are we hoping that those things would be corrected this time around?
See, it's correct. It's the legacy of the history that we are living with. There are certain places where we are in dominance. There are certain places where they are in dominance. And as per stated policy of our government and our nation, we are not trying to change the boundaries at this stage. So I don't think so that this confrontation will take us to that level where we are going to change the boundaries. But yes, the way the escalation ladder is going on, and if it is forced upon us, I think the right solution will be to take out POK and even help Baluchis to get their separate nation and divide Pakistan into such smaller parts that it's done forever. But that is a long-term solution which we think about that. But currently we have enough ammunition, we have enough things with us to take care of they famished. They do not have ammunition to work or fight for 3 days as on date. So I don't think so. They can go on with
the way the Baloch are going, don't think they need any help right now. They're actually Pakistani Army General Asim Munir ke naak mein dam kar rakha hai. Forget I'm what really he's not. Yesterday, even yesterday, there are pictures coming through of what the Baloch have inflicted in terms of real pain. These are those pinpricks that hurt more than an actual wound. So even if General Asim Munir is obsessed with doing something with Bharat to try and stay afloat, his position is being rendered increasingly untenable because of what the Baloch are doing. Ishan is with us. Ishan, let's go back to... so as planned earlier in the day, early this morning, you were the first to tell us that the LG is going to visit Uri. Has he met the civilians also? Here he is seen with the Bravehearts, but has he met the civilians also?
Absolutely right. He's interacted with the civilians and told them that the government will do everything possible to ensure their safety and security. The issue of bunkers for the civilian population was raised, and to which LG said that in coming days we'll try to ensure that there are adequate bunkers available for people. Anand, we should highlight this up to 2020 when the ceasefire was agreed by both the DGMOs. That's when India started constructing bunkers in Kupwara and Uri. which is certain lifeline for them. But they want more bunkers because there are a lot of population who has been affected this time around. The mortars are not limited to the Uri city itself, but they're going beyond. They're trying to hit more and more areas to involve more areas and to ensure that more civilians leave their homes and they are displaced from them, at least temporarily. So the shelters have been created, but the Lieutenant Governor was clear that the compensation will be given to them, that the damage assessment will be done, and they will try to ensure that every person who's affected, he gets the due at the moment. He's shifted, he's taken to the spot where he feels safer, because they don't want to put civilians in the harm's way. They want to take them out, because we have seen the sort of pounding that has been done by Pakistan on civilian places has really made the government rethink about trying to take them out. And most of them have actually even voluntarily left, and some of them are right now leaving and making sure that whatever they could collect there, that they are taking it along and they are able to go to a safer location. Look, it's very clear that the civilian population would not be spared, and they will be pounding those areas, as has been clear during the overnight shelling that took place, where many civilians were injured. One lady even died when a shrapnel hit her while she was in a vehicle trying to escape the misery. But yes, they are getting a little bit of trouble, but particularly civilians.
Right.
But even the Jawans were confident, and you see that the LG has written in his tweet that he has seen courage in their eyes and they're determined to fight the enemy.
Well, the Bravehearts are, the Indian Armed Forces are at the ready. It's the civilians who wanted some more attention, especially on a night of pounding, which they believe eclipses what they witnessed way back even in the late 90s. That's where the civilians said that some attention needs to be paid. And Uri is an area which historically has had that problem where the very, very core Hindustani civilians have had to bear the brunt of Pakistani military ire and apathy. Quite often, the Uri attacks against on our forward posts also happened by the terrorist, the Jaish Cadre from that region only. So this is something which has a history, and it's good to see the LG out on there on the ground. The Chief Minister Omar Abdullah is travelling to the Jammu division, so he is in Poonch, Rajouri and also Jammu. So that's again very encouraging. More news coming through. The Central Consumer Protection Authority has initiated action against the listing and sale of walkie-talkie devices on e-commerce platforms that lack proper disclosure of operating frequencies, licensing information and equipment type approval or ETA. All sellers are required to strictly adhere to the applicable regulatory standards to uphold consumer rights and prevent unlawful trade practices. Payal Mehta joining us with more on why and what has brought this about. Yes, Payal.
And you understand what it really means, in terms of using the walkie-talkie, using the frequency concern as well. India at this point in time does not want to leave anything to chance, and that's the reason the consumer protection is going to be extremely important, and that's the reason Union Minister Prahlad Joshi put out a tweet essentially warning people who are buying these devices online, on e-platforms, without really understanding, where this is coming from. Probably, also the route to where these devices are coming from is also being monitored by the Indian government in as many words. And of course, that's the reason they say that the absence of any critical information constitutes a violation of multiple laws, including the Consumer Protection Law, the Indian Telegraph Act, the Wireless Telegraphy Act, and the use of low power, very low power, shortage range frequency devices, exemption from licensing requirements, rules of 2018. So obviously, the sale of these non-compliant devices not only breaches the statutory obligations, but also pose significant risk to national security operations. That is the operative part, I mean.
Well, and how soon will this be in effect? Because there are walkie-talkies out in the market. So how is the regulation going to be? Is it going to be immediate, effectively, stockists of walkie-talkies, sellers of walkie-talkies? It's available on e-com platforms also. So how are they going to be able to bring this about, regulate this?
Well, of course, at first, as a very, very responsible government, we want to actually warn our people that do not fall prey to this. Do not buy this from e-commerce websites. That is something which is being there. What happens to the devices that are already in existence? Obviously, those are also going to be gradually mapped. But we do most of our shopping essentially, even electronics, like sometimes even fridges and televisions online, because that's the way the market is now really booming. So these devices are much more cheaper and much more available online. And of course, these e-commerce websites have been posing a lot of these options available to the consumers. But the consumers must understand what they are buying and why they are buying, and from whom should they buy and whom should they not buy, because these walkie-talkies are come to great use to various industries as well. But nothing can interfere with the national security. That's the whole argument.
We're going to take a very, very short break. Thanks, Payal, for those inputs. Stay with us here on CNN News 18.
Made one more threat against India. He has gone on to say, if no talks, then guns. This is what Khwaja Asif has said. He's been at the forefront of making inflammatory statements against India, but the Indian intelligence agencies see this only as a sign of desperation. It also depends on what side of the bed he wakes up in the morning, because some days he talks about stopping the escalation where it is, that if India stops, we will stop. Then another day he wakes up and threatens India with nuclear weapons. This is the same man who has, of course, gone on international media to accept that Pakistan was doing the dirty job of the US and the West for 30 years when it was funding, training and harboring terror groups inside its territory. My colleague Anand is also joining us to break this down further for us. How seriously are we to take Khwaja Asif?
Well, Bharat is not taking Khwaja Asif seriously because he's highly discredited himself by the comments that he's made. But there is a picture behind the picture. Khwaja Asif is worried about his political constituency, that is Sialkot. Sialkot has undergone some heavy pummeling and punishment, with the air defense systems reportedly also totally damaged because of Bharat's counter reaction to Pakistan's military strikes. What one needs to listen carefully when we listen to Khwaja Asif speak is, he says that we cannot afford to carry this on for long. He's trying to put words and project it in a way that Pakistan is at a position of strength, but in that line itself emerges Pakistan's vulnerability. Pakistan does not have the faculty, the funds, nor does it have the fortitude to be able to continue an intense engagement with Bharat. And that is something that is coming through from Khwaja Asif and his nervousness. So much so that he is contradicting himself within 12 hours of his interviews between one media platform to another. So that is the reason why, because the Pakistanis don't know what's hit them. The other part is that, being the defense minister of Pakistan, he's actually come across as clueless and quite literally kept in the dark by the military establishment. And that itself is there for us. So somewhere from the Indian think tank and the Indian government, the more Khwaja Asif speaks, the better for Bharat, because the more Pakistan gets exposed globally.
Absolutely. Anand, we're getting an excerpt of his latest statement, I believe. Let's just play that out for our viewers.
डायरेक्ट टॉक्स नहीं होती इस वक्त हमारे एनएसएस की, हमारी गवर्नमेंट की और इंडिया की गवर्नमेंट की, और वो नहीं सुनते, तो फिर क्या अगली बात, अगर टेबल पे बात नहीं होती, तो क्या अगली बात बंदूक पे होगी, बंदूक के जरिए होगी?
Former Army Chief General VP Malik joins us on the broadcast. Let's go straight across to him. General Saab, Jai Hind. Thank you for your time, sir. Can you hear me? This is Anand here.
Yes, Jai Hind, Anand. Yes, I can hear you.
Your assessment of the current situation, this standoff between Bharat and Pakistan, how do you see this panning out over the next, let's say, 48 to 72 hours?
Anand, this time what we have done has been quite different to whatever had been done by India to hit the terror camps and to strike at their camps earlier. And Pakistan has not taken it properly yet, although we sent a message that we do not want further escalation and our targets are only the terror camps and their lords, so to say. Pakistan is trying to escalate it, but I don't think it will succeed in further escalation. Whatever it has done, firstly, it doesn't have the capacity to carry on for a long time. We have a much longer, much greater capacity to carry on and to also raise the escalation level if and when required. Secondly, the international community is now pretty much on our side, and Pakistan is now facing that, and so there will be tremendous pressure from the international community asking Pakistan to stop it now and not to escalate it further. The third factor that comes to my mind is the economic situation in Pakistan.
Ji.
I mean, I saw a tweet today from the Pakistani government literally begging for money and saying that we have, since we have been now fighting a war with Pakistan, with India, we have no money at all. So there are many constraints which are there today. And with that, I believe Pakistan, even if it continues for a few more days of whatever is happening along the line of control and international border in Jammu and Kashmir, it doesn't have the capacity, and I don't think it has the determination also to carry on further. But for the next few days, we might have to see this going on in sporadic fashion. Not really, but I don't see that they will try to raise the level of the escalation.
In your wisdom, as a general, a former chief of the army staff, has General Asim Munir conducted himself with dignity, or has he brought disgrace to the uniform?
I think he has been a disgrace in uniform. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. Right from the beginning, I have been saying that. See, he's put himself in a very awkward position. With the kind of mindset he had, he thought that he can now make himself popular, get the extension, without realizing the consequences of his action in Pahalgam. And it comes to my mind is, unfortunately, the Pakistani generals, they are tactical thinkers. They are not strategic thinkers. He did not realize the consequences of the action that he's doing. And as a result, he has not only got himself into trouble, but the image of the Pakistan army in Pakistan has also suffered quite a lot. So I'm afraid the way he has acted, the way he has spoken in public, nobody in uniform would speak that kind of a language. And now with his action, he's put himself in great trouble.
Yeah. As a general, also has he failed? Balochistan, Pakhtunistan, Sindh, Cholistan, and now 3 nights of reversals in this entire face-off with Bharat. Operation Sindoor, and also the misadventures where Pakistan has ended up unable to even touch or even land anything on Indian soil.
No, as I said earlier, Pakistani generals earlier in the past, and this man particularly, I don't think he is capable of thinking, at a macro level. Pakistan, as it has been in a great trouble with the kind of economy and the kind of political situation that they are facing and that you have described, whether it is in Balochistan, RKPK, and lately even the Pakistan army image has also not been so popular in Pakistan. Now, despite all these handicaps that Pakistan has, he has dared to strike in a manner that he has crossed the red line that we ever had earlier. So therefore, now he has to suffer the consequences of both the international community, India, of course, and within Pakistan also.
Is Asim Munir's ouster the only off-ramp that Pakistan has now?
It's quite possible. That may be possible. But then that could also lead to a coup. You never know. It has happened in the past. So all those possibilities are there today. But one thing I have to say that at the moment also I feel that it has not been sufficient punishment for Pakistan leadership as far as cross-border terrorism is concerned. It is a big lesson. It's an important lesson, but yet I wouldn't say it is the last word on this strategy that they have adopted or have been adopted of cross-border, putting the terrorists ahead and making use of these proxies to wage a war against India. So that probably might continue, but as far as he himself is concerned, I would say anything is possible today.
You said General Saab, that not enough punishment has been given to Pakistan or taught to teach them a lesson as far as the terror aspect is concerned. Bharat's war on terror is not complete. What should be done? How will Pakistan learn its lesson, or a cost be impacted on the Pakistanis, Pakistan military establishment especially?
Anand, although we have now given them a very, very strong message, but we should not forget the kind of nexus that they have developed with the terrorist outfits, the Pakistani army I am talking about, which started off right from 1947 onwards. And that nexus has got strengthened over the years. It has now become part of their DNA as well as part of their strategic thinking. So this kind of a situation will take some time. And in the meantime, we have to give them a sustained answer. Every time they do an act like this, we should be able to come down heavily on them. So sustained pressure of this kind that has taken place now, that probably will, after some time, will put them on the right path.
What should Bharat do next? Should it wait and react, or will there be a phase where Bharat will seize the initiative and say enough is enough?
No, I think, we have to carry on with this present strategy that we have adopted. Absolute zero tolerance, and making it very clear to Pakistan that we will come down heavily every time you indulge in a situation like this. And every time they do that, our own strategy of hitting them hard, that must be sustained. It cannot be one-off this thing. So next time if they they try and do something like this, then we should give them not just this much, but maybe even harder message.
Right. General Saab, we're going to pause now. I'll pause this conversation now, because at 5:30 p.m. there is the detailed briefing, the third briefing by the Defence and also the MEA. Post that, look forward to speaking with you again later towards the evening, if possible, and if you have the time. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, Anand.
More news coming through. It's a CNN News 18 exclusive. Pakistan's unprovoked firing along the line of control is believed to be a cover for terrorist infiltration. Security agencies suspect that an attempt was made on the 9th evening, 8th evening, 9th night. That is last night. And it's possible that some terrorists managed to enter Indian territory. So this is the proxy war they will wage. They cannot fight a direct battle. They will send these proxies, once again pushing terror into Indian soil. The infiltration efforts reportedly came from North Kashmir, especially in areas like Kupwara and Baramulla, which are close to the line of control. Meanwhile, Poonch and Rajouri districts in Jammu have also seen repeated ceasefire violations and infiltration attempts, given their strategic location near the international border. So the Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman still with us. Now, this is a serious concern. This is something that the Pakistanis can do. The Pak military can go down to vile levels, abysmal levels. So should we brace for a possible terror strike on our soil because of this attempt?
Anand, could you specify the attempt you just talked about?
There have been infiltrations. The entire LOC shelling is to try and push through infiltrators into our soil. From Kupwara, from Baramulla, from Poonch, along the border.
I see, going by the historical learnings, I see no difference in patterns. While it be 1947, 1948, they entered our boundaries as infiltrators, and subsequently, right till Kargil, they did the same as infiltrators. It's been a high time we realize that the Paki army is devoid of a spine. They don't have the appetite to take the Indian army head on.
Right.
What I've been listening to the discussions post my last comment. See the latest communique which came out of the US today in the morning from the office of Mr. J.D. Vance.
Right.
It clearly says the essence of it is that the US is not going to intervene now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, and that makes it very, very clear. Let me specify. That makes it very, very clear that we have a free hand now. We
Right.
have the tacit support. No
Right.
one is going to come and tell and put it out on X for Mr. Modi.
Right. 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 Wing Commander Abhishek Matiman, I'll come across to you in a bit. I think we've just lost you momentarily there. Going across to Zaka Jacob. He takes it forward.
All right, let's try and make sense of what is going on in this heightened state of tensions between India and Pakistan. India sort of responded with Operation Sindoor to the deadly terror attack that happened on the 22nd of April. In Operation Sindoor, India, in an unprecedented fashion, targeted 9 different terror locations. India said it's non-escalatory, not targeting military installations, not targeting civilians, and it doesn't want Pakistan to escalate either. But last night, from about 8 o'clock in the evening till about midnight, multiple Indian cities were targeted with these swarms of drones in what was clearly an escalatory step by Pakistan. Where does the story move from here? I'm now joined by former diplomat and former Deputy National Security Advisor, former High Commissioner, Mr. Satish Chandra. Ambassador Satish Chandra, thank you very much. You speak very rarely to television channels, so thank you very much for joining us here on CNN News 18. I just laid out the context of what has happened over the last 2 weeks and where we stand as of today. What is your best assessment of what the situation is right now, and more importantly, where do you see it moving over the next 24, 48 hours?
Good to be with you, Zaka, on your channel. It's a pleasure to interact with you. Well, actually, what's been happening is a repetition of the playbook over the decades. India has always been extremely restrained, to a fault often, in terms of retaliatory steps. I think all of us are very well aware that we have been targets of terrorist actions by Pakistan, and in most cases we have not retaliated, and I think that's been a fault and perhaps has encouraged Pakistan in the belief that they can literally get away with murder. So what has happened, I think there's been a change since with the Modi government in terms of the actions that it had taken in 2016 and 2019. First the surgical strikes and then Balakot. And this has gone a notch higher in terms of depth at which we have struck across Pakistan in retaliation for the Pahalgam attacks. And it's been nine camps which has been struck, both in some in POK and some in Pakistan Punjab, the most notable being Muridke and Bahawalpur, where the terrorist camps were taken out. But as you mentioned ab initio, and as has been underlined by the government of India, that our action was, the kinetic action, was extremely restrained in terms of the fact that we did not hit the military, the Pakistan military, which many feel perhaps we should have, but we did not in the interest of being extremely restrained. We only went for the proven terrorist hideouts from which terrorists had been attacking India from time to time, and also during the Pahalgam incident. Now, the Pakistani reaction, as you indicated, rightly so, has been escalatory, openly, blatantly escalatory. And I do recall from the times when I was in Pakistan, and in fact it is documented, that then Air Marshal Ashgar Khan had said that all the wars with India by Pakistan were initiated by Pakistan. So let's be very clear, I am not surprised, because I have dealt with Pakistan for much of my life, that this is the standard playbook of Pakistan. They will escalate, they will lie, they will try and say that India is escalating, whereas the contrary is correct. Just like they keep saying that they are really had nothing to do with terror, and I think everyone knows the score on that. not only India, but the rest of the world. So I don't need to say anything more on that score.
But the escalation towards what end? Now, when India did the operation and it said, look, we're taking a non-escalatory step, and underlined, the army statement underlined, we're not targeting any military installations, we're not targeting civilians. I thought that was an exit option or an off-ramp for the Pakistani army. But by doing what they did last night, and clearly, as you said, it's an escalatory step, what are they trying to achieve?
I think you must understand two things that are happening in terms of dynamics in Pakistan as I read it. Number one is that the army has lost face in terms of what happened because of our strikes, and they want to prove a point. The army is also very badly divided. In fact, the whole country is divided. So they are trying to somehow, in some way, establish that they are one up on India. That is the endeavor, and they are not going to succeed. And the second point, which is more intrinsic, and I am sorry to say that unfortunately, many of us in India have failed to read Pakistan right. I mean, there is a whole army of people in India saying we must engage dialogue with Pakistan. Yes, that's correct, if Pakistan were a normal country. And again, I will merely relate a conversation or some conversations that I had during my stint in Pakistan as High Commissioner in the 90s. And when I spoke to some people whom I knew rather well within the system, and I said, look, by creating these terror camps, you are actually going to end up hurting yourselves. And in fact, Hillary Clinton also said later on, much later on, something to similar effect. Well, what was the reaction I got? And that's what made me absolutely very, very pessimistic about the future of our relationship. The response was, we don't care as long as it hurts India. So that's the game that they are playing. But, you know, clearly they are not going to, in quotes, win this. Because what we have seen in the last 3-4 days is that they are getting and continuing to get a lot of egg on their face. And if I may go off script a little bit from your query, I think that this could be very easily sorted out if the international community appropriately pressurized Pakistan. You know, they are going around the world with a begging bowl.
Correct.
And if assistance was stopped, this Pakistani foolishness would also stop. It would be temporary because this is the use of terror against India is a default option as far as Pakistan is concerned. And Zaka, I'll be prepared to discuss with you on a much longer show as to what really we should be doing over long term with Pakistan.
I just want you, since you mentioned international community and the leverage that the international community has on Pakistan, tonight there is the IMF meeting which will decide whether Pakistan gets a tranche of, I think, about a little over $1 billion from the IMF. That is straight up leverage. Why is the international community not saying that, look, we're not going to give you this money until you correct your behavior?
You are absolutely right. If this is the 25th time, I believe, that yes, if they were to tell Pakistan, you continue this and you're not going to get $1 more, you'll see this stopping. And, but this is the reality with the international community. That's how they are playing it. It's unfortunate, but this is a reality. And I have always believed that at the end of the day, it is up to India, which will have to sort this out with Pakistan itself. Yes, we should do what we are doing. I know we are also going to be, because we are prominent members in the IMF and the World Bank and so on, and in the international community, and our weight is much, much greater than what it was at the time when I was in Pakistan in the 90s. And so we will have a say, and we must have a say. But I may also add something which people may not have paid so much attention to, which is what I have long advocated, that actually, at the end of the day, we have used our Brahmastra, which is keeping the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance. This is something which I have been advocating in somewhat similar form over 2 decades plus. And I think that is what will ultimately make Pakistan, in the longer term, even the medium term, bend. They will have to do that, because otherwise that country can be destroyed.
All right. And just one final word again on the international community and the IMF meeting, because the United States is the single biggest country which has most weightage at the IMF. They have 17%. Anything above 15% means that, they have a veto power.
Yes.
And today you must have heard what the US Vice President J.D. Vance said. This is not our fight. We're not going to intervene. It's up to India and Pakistan to sort it out. Why do you think the US is taking a sort of hands-off approach?
Well, frankly, I didn't see that statement, but what you say, you can interpret it in many ways, which means that we are not going to intervene either against you. And in the past, pressures have been brought on India as well. So I'm not terribly unhappy, frankly. This is my personal view about it. And they have said this, but behind the scenes, it remains to be seen whether they can and they should. In fact, I think they must pressurize Pakistan, saying that, look, you do this and we'll stop assistance. Because if they do that, if the international community doesn't bail out Pakistan, they are in deep trouble, as I said earlier. And it's, as I said, it's not just USA. It's the Western world. It is the Middle East, because Middle East are major donors, Saudi Arabia and UAE as well. So everyone can play a role. And actually, the bottom line is, and this is what I attach great importance to, if you are really serious of ending terror, which is the world's biggest terror factory today? It is only Pakistan.
Yeah.
And if you were to turn the screws there and make them stop, the terror factory would be irreversibly damaged. And now here, if one is a little philosophical, in the long run, that's going to help Pakistan also, because Pakistan is also hurting, because terror comes back to bite you itself if you breed it in your backyard.
Correct.
The snakes will bite you, quote unquote, Hillary Clinton.
All right.
That's where I am coming from.
Ambassador Satish Chandra, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here on CNN News 18 with your thoughts and your perspective. Thank you. All right. I want to move on to another piece of breaking news that's just coming through. We're given to understand that a former Lashkar-e-Taiba operative and in aid of the Lashkar-e-Taiba founder Hafiz Saeed has exposed the outfit. He says that many youths motivated by Hafiz Saeed's speeches and then joined the Lashkar-e-Taiba subsequently traveled to Afghanistan as well as to Kashmir in India. Approximately 500 individuals from across the country traveled to Afghanistan to undergo training at a camp named Maskar Taiba that's located in Kunar province. He says Hafiz Saeed is also responsible for the deaths of thousands of Pakistanis by sending them in a war of ashes to achieve the state's political goals. This is something that Noor Dari, that's the name of the individual. He's a former Lashkar operative. Tejinder has more details on this. Tejinder, read the tea leaves for us. What does this necessarily mean?
See, Zaka, this Noor Dari right now is the executive director for ITCT, which is an international think tank that exposes Islamist terrorists. He says that his mother wanted him to become a doctor, but he like thousands of Pakistanis were motivated by the speeches given by the LET founder Hafiz Saeed. He says that he was appointed as the aide of Hafiz Saeed. He used to guard him in the Murtkai camp where he was deputed, and he says that Hafiz Saeed was traveling in a blue Toyota Wigo pickup Datsun. So Hafiz Saeed is responsible, as per Dahari, Hafiz Saeed is responsible for the death of thousands of Pakistani youth whom they motivate through his lectures. They join his terror outfit. They are sent to Afghanistan. They are sent to Kashmir, and they become cannon fodder for the so-called war which Hafiz Saeed and other terrorists are fighting. He says that there are millions of Pakistanis and who have been motivated by the speech of Hafiz Saeed, and they have joined the terror cult of LET. He says that he took a decision finally because he saw that this will get him nothing, so he left LET, and he was made fun by the other LET members, saying that he was coward, that is why he was leaving it. But he realized that Hafiz Saeed would lead them to nowhere. So finally, he right now in UK, settled there, and is working with one of the international think tanks as an executive director. So this person has exposed Hafiz Saeed and how this terror factory is radicalizing the youth of Pakistan, the youth who could have taken a pen, who could have taken a stethoscope to become a doctor or an engineer. But Hafiz Saeed and his ilk is making these people the cannon fodder for their so-called jihad, training them in several terror training camps across Pakistan, in borders with Afghanistan, and then sending them to fight and get killed in Kashmir. He says that thousands of Pakistani youth who are trained by Hafiz Saeed are sent across into Jammu and Kashmir to fight this so-called war, and 90% of them never return. They get killed by the Indian Armed Forces. So clearly exposing Hafiz Saeed and his terror factory. Yes, Zaka.
Jinder, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. So that's a former operative of the Lashkar-e-Taiba exposing the founder and the chief architect of one of the most dreaded terror organizations, an organization that's wanted for numerous terror attacks here in India. His headquarters, of course, was bombed in Operation Sindoor a couple of days ago. Meanwhile, let's bring you up to speed with where things are as of right now. In the last 24 hours, Pakistan has made multiple attempts to breach India's air defense systems, but the good news is India's air defense has prevailed against Pakistani missiles and drones. The army has managed to neutralize the air defense system in Lahore after Pakistan attempted to engage a number of military targets in northern as well as western India. When Pakistan made failed attempts to send a swarm of drones across at least half a dozen, if not a dozen places along the line of control and the international border, over 40 to 50 drones, and this is what the Indian Army statement said earlier today, over 40 to 50 drones were successfully neutralized in a 3-4 hour period from about 8:30 in the evening yesterday all the way up to about midnight. The engagement involved extensive use of the L-70 guns, the Zu-23 Shilkas, and of course other advanced counter-UAS equipment, including of course the S-400s and the indigenously built Akash surface-to-air missiles. It also showed the Army's capability to counter these aerial threats. So what are these weapon systems, these air defense systems which were activated yesterday and managed to avert what could have been a big sort of barrage of attacks by the enemy on Indian soil? The L-70, it's developed by Bofors, is produced under the license here in India. It's a 40mm gun, modernized with radars, electro-optical sensors, and also auto-tracking systems. It can fire anywhere between 250 to 300 rounds per minute. It's got a range of up to 4,000 meters, about 4 kilometers or so. The L-70 excels in anti-drone warfare, saturating the sky with predictive fire, making it effective against a swarm of drones and also trying to evade the tracking of these aerial systems. So that's the L-70. It's a short-range gun. Then you have the Shilka, which is a self-propelled system, self-propelled gun. It's got 4 23mm autocannons that are guided by radar-detecting targets, and it can detect targets up to 20 kilometers away. So that's again a short-range weapon. It can unleash about 4,000 rounds per minute, and it's been upgraded with proximity fuse ammunition as well as advanced fire control systems to tackle drones that are becoming smaller and smaller. The Shilka's rapid fire and radar precision make it lethal for UAVs, helicopters, light armored vehicles. The Shilka's dense curtain of rounds offers a last resort protection for air bases, military convoys, sensitive installations, much of which are now currently under elevated levels of threat because of the ongoing situation between India and Pakistan. All right, let me go across to Lieutenant General retired P.J. Pannu, is former DG of the Integrated Defence Forces, and also Professor Brahmacharani, strategic affairs expert, who's now joining us. General Pannu, let me start with you first. So we've had this situation where I think we're at a level in the lower rung of the escalatory chain. There was an out for Pakistan on the day of Operation Sindoor itself, right after that operation got out, where India said, look, this is non-escalatory. We're not underlining the fact that we've not targeted any Pakistani military installation. No civilians were targeted. Only terror and terror infrastructure was targeted. Pakistan chose not to take that off-ramp. Now we're at level 1 of this escalatory ladder with the swarm of drones attack, all of which was thwarted yesterday. What is the next step? What happens from here on?
Zaka, now we are at war and we do not know what type or stage of war we are in. Normally when you talk about a full-blown war, you're talking about the aerial campaign which starts initially, but now the technology has enabled that other than the aircrafts flying in, now you have the UAVs and the missiles which have been developed between India and Pakistan over decades. They have come into play. Last war was fought in 71, which was more conventional without these weapons. So the new equipment which is being used and the legacy equipment which is being used, there I would understand that this is only a pause. It could be a logistic pause. It could be an operational pause. It could be for reconsidering because armies do not reinforce failures. If Pakistan feels that whatever they did turned out to be a failure, then they would go back and look at what needs to be done better to improve the systems. The technical pause could also get the OEMs to look at the equipment which did not work well, or how the Indian equipment worked, to even tweak that. So there are far too many things that would be seen as to why after yesterday night's very strong retaliation, aerial retaliation by Pakistan, why there is a pause. It also could be a diplomatic pause, which I feel our diplomatic corps would have known, but I don't think so. It is so. But what is amazing is that the terrorists, Pakistan has been crying that they are also victim of terrorists or terrorism. And it is the same terrorists who they have been saying that they are victim of the terrorists. They have been carrying the coffins. You know, the army has been carrying the coffins and crying over them. How could you be victim of those people that you're now crying over and carrying their bodies for ceremonial burial? These are the same people who ambushed the Pakistani trains and hijacked them in Balochistan. These are the same terrorists who've been hitting at the cantonments. They are also looking at political supporters of Imran Khan and those who actually hammered the corps commanders in their residences. So I think there is a lot of internal correction that the Pakistan would want to make. So therefore, I think it is just that Pakistan is unpredictable. It would raise its head again, and it needs to be punished. And we should not allow any recoupment to happen, because this will only ultimately make the Cobra head raise the head again and strike back at you.
Okay, I'm just going to come to that in 1 second, because this has been a familiar pattern for the last 30 years. Terror attack followed by punitive action, then terror attack again, punitive action. Is there a chance for India now to settle this once and for all? But I'll come to that in 1 second. I've got a piece of breaking news that's coming, after which I'll go to Professor Chelani as well, who's joining us. This is according to top defense forces. As per India's assessment of what happened last night, between 8 o'clock in the night to 11:30 p.m., that's about a 3.5-hour window on the 8th of May last night, Pakistan launched as many as 500 small drones. The target were 24 cities across North and West India, starting from the Jammu and Kashmir through to Punjab, through Rajasthan, and of course the southernmost part of this window, which was Gujarat. So 24 cities in a 3.5-hour period. The army statement from this morning suggested it was 40 to 50 drones, but now top defense sources telling Arunima it could be 10 times as much. So Arunima, where is this assessment coming from, in as much as there were 500 drones? Because that's not a small number, that's a big number. And it's 25 cities as opposed to 15, which was the case the day before. What is the reading of, what was Pakistan trying to achieve? Was it escalation? Were they trying to test India's air defenses? What was the objective? And what happens now? This is what everybody is keen to know. What is the next step? Do we further climb this escalatory ladder, or is there an off-ramp somewhere here?
So first, the data that has been put together, most of these drones were taken down and the debris were also recovered from the ground. So based on that, this assessment has been made by our defense officials, and they're saying that 24 cities were targeted all along Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Gujarat and Rajasthan, and 500 drones, many of which did not even have proper weapon. So was this just a surveillance drone where they're just checking India's air defense system? Was this just a probing technique to figure out how ready is India before Pakistan actually launches its attack? That's the line on which the Indian Defence Forces are currently viewing this data which has emerged. You saw the top level meeting that Raksha Mantri had with the three chiefs and also the CDS, post which I think the messaging we are hearing from South Block is that India is ready. If this was just Pakistan's way to test the waters yesterday, then they've seen how crucial India is.
Air defenses. Clearly, they got a bloody nose. Almost all of those attacks were thwarted. The next step, I would imagine, would be some kind of projectiles, missiles, short-range missiles, etc. And the step after that would be to scramble your jets. Are we now locked in this escalatory ladder?
We are locked in a low-intensity military war. It's a war, undeclared war, but it's low-intensity military hostilities. The thing is this: India, as the stronger side, can escalate or de-escalate the situation to its advantage. In other words, India could control the escalation ladder. But India is saying that it's giving back in equal measure. In other words, it's responding to what Pakistan is doing. For example, the statement yesterday said that India responded in the same domain and in the same manner. That raises the question as to what India's objective is from the current military campaign. Because if we are responding in the same domain and in equal measure, then we could be giving control of the escalation ladder to the other side.
Exactly.
For example, we have positioned the Navy to carry out punitive strikes, but we haven't. We haven't employed our naval power, even though it's overwhelming in comparison to Pakistan's naval power. Are we waiting for Pakistan to first initiate naval hostilities before we respond? Again, I'm not sure, because I'm still not sure as to what our final objective is. I think General Panun is absolutely right that we need to punish Pakistan. We need to punish Pakistan in such a way that this ends Pakistan's reliance on proxy warfare. But then to impose deterrent costs on Pakistan, we should be willing to extend this low-intensity military campaign